Hey everyone, welcome to our second session of the day. This time we've got an actual play coming your direction from one of the two folks behind the Effekt podcast, and that would be Dave and Matthew. Dave and Matthew. I have Dave on so much, I just said Dave. I'm sorry, Matthew. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is what happens.
It was my idea, this podcast.
Matthew, thank you so much for coming on, you and the players here. This is a session that you had designed yourself for conventions for this year, but unfortunately conventions are not taking place physically, so we thought we'd save it for the Free League showcase. So thank you so much for offering to come on and do this session. You're a very busy person doing all sorts of things, including the Effekt podcast, which is an amazing podcast that is primarily centered around Free League publishing games and Swedish RPGs. If folks are watching this and they have not checked out the Effekt podcast, go check out the Effekt podcast. It's what's the website they should go to see?
They should go to www.effektpodcast.org, and Effekt is spelt with a K, which is the Swedish way.
Nice.
And they should also check out www.effektap.org, Effekt with a K again, and that's where we put our actual plays.
Excellent. All right, I'm just going to hand the stream over to you, Matthew, and if you need anything from me, you want me to throw something up behind the screen or behind the screen here, just give me a shout, and everyone, have a great session. Everyone, for those that are watching, if you're joining us in the chat, feel free to chat, and I'll maybe throw a comment here or there up onto the screen and show everyone. So we'll see you once the session is over. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant, and thank you, Doug. And hello and welcome to everybody, all my players. Now I'm going to get you to introduce yourselves, and I'm going to get you to introduce your actual real self and your character in a moment. First of all, I want to set the scene. You are traveling on a train. You are traveling from the Swedish city of Uppsala. Some of you may meet on this train. You don't necessarily know each other. Two of you have come with a letter that you've already received, and we will get you discussing the contents of those letters in a while and finding out that you may have a similar reason for being there. This is a scenario that, as Doug says, we designed for the convention scene. We wanted to keep it really sweet so we could run loads of demo games, particularly in those early conventions before Vaesen came out. Now Vaesen is already in the shop, so if you haven't got it yet, viewers, go and buy it. It's great. But the idea was this was going to be an introductory scenario, and it was going to be a bit shorter. And so I'm missing out a chunk of the beginning of the standard Vaesen scenario format, and we're going to get you kind of in media res in the thick of the action quite early on. But also because it was a thing that was happening mainly for players who hadn't seen the game at all, it's also a bit of an introductory scenario, and the idea is that this isn't the group who come from the castle in Uppsala, who are already members of the society and already experienced investigators of the unknown. You are meeting for the first time on this train. So imagine yourselves, it's some point in the 19th century. We're always a bit vague about this. The train is climbing steadily up the long, slow incline into the mountains. Ahead of you, the steam engine is chuffing out coal smoke. You're in a reasonably well-appointed carriage because at least two of you aren't terribly badly off. And maybe you're in one of those compartments together, sitting opposite each other, two of you on one side, two of you on the other. The guard's just gone past the door, checked your tickets, closed the door again, shutting you in your compartment, and moved on further down the train. And probably the most interesting thing you just discovered about each other is that you are all headed to the village of December. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Maybe start off with your real life personalities before your characters. And I should probably say who goes first. So let's start with Emily, because I know least about you, Emily. Welcome to the stream. Let's start with you.
Well, thank you, first off, for having me on the stream. I'm really excited to have a chance to play this game again. My name is Emily. I'm also known as Anthrama on the internet. I have recently gone through a merger, and I'm going into Level 1 Geek on Twitch, where we uplift indie TTRPGs, we do reviews, and have a couple actual plays going. So go ahead and follow us over there if you like that sort of content. I am playing Inga, who is a doctor. She is very, very proper, has very modest clothing on, has her little bag at her side, and she smiles at everyone around her.
Brilliant. And I guess if we've started with the doctor, we should also introduce the doctor's servant. So Neil, you go ahead.
Thanks, Matthew. So I'm Neil from Paladin Roleplaying. I'm definitely a fully paid up card-carrying member of the Free League fan club. I'm a Simroom GM, and I've played a number of Year Zero games, but this is my first time playing Vaesen, however we pronounce it.
Vaesen, I think.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I'm from Paladin Roleplaying. We sell dice and other accessories. You can check us out at paladinroleplaying.com. And I am playing Torsten. Torsten is the doctor's servant. He's getting on a little bit. He's more elderly, very sort of slim, quite tall, with long grey hair tied back in a ponytail. But despite his age, quite fit and healthy. And sort of robust. And yeah, that's me.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Neil. Torsten. So let's move then to on the other side of this compartment. I think we'll start off with Jonathan, with the man in the religious, the priestly getup.
In the man of the cloth. Hi, I'm Jonathan. I am a member of London RPG Community. It's a meetup. Obviously this year we're playing a lot online, but we used to meet in pubs in London all the time. But I'm here tonight at Matthew's pleasure, and I am playing Victor Nystrom, who is a priest, middle-aged. He's man of the cloth. Like he obviously wears the full getup, especially when traveling, because you've got to look the part. But he has a dark secret that may come into play. But his motivation is very much like wanting to understand God's creation, even the strangest side of God's creation.
And the person you've brought with you isn't a servant, but rather an intellectual equal, a writer. So, Millie, tell everybody all about you.
Hi, my name's Millie. I'm really excited to play Vaesen. Vaesen, but yeah, all of these games.
Whatever way we say it, the Swedes are laughing at us.
I'm so excited to play it. I've wrote a couple of Tales from the Loop, like spooky Tales from the Loop, for the Free League workshop up on Drive-Thru right now. And so actually playing a spooky game is going to be really, really cool. My character is August Connismark, writer, but a little bit. Probably the most scruffiest person in this carriage. Definitely like pencils and pens and bits of papers in pockets and a note somewhere about that thing, maybe. Writes under the name of Hugo, Woman Behind the Door being my last novel, paying for this trip itself. I'm going to be following the priest around because I think I should get some good knowledge for my next book.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Millie. So, as I said a bit earlier on, you exchanged glances across the cabin as you both told the conductor that you were heading to December. And I wonder if anybody wants to talk to the people across the aisle from them about their business in December.
Inga would. Inga glances over at them. Well, this is a surprise. What's bringing you to December?
I received a letter from a colleague requesting my presence in December, which is, a colleague from seminary, but we weren't exactly friends. So I've come at their request, and I want to see. I got to find out what that's all about.
Torsten, isn't that interesting? We also got a letter of somebody that we're not quite familiar with.
Oh, really? Who? I mean, if I may inquire, who sent you your letter?
I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this last name. Mrs. Brugge?
As good a way of pronouncing it as any for us Anglophones.
Mrs. Brugge, no, that's not familiar to me. So perhaps perhaps this is as close as our paths will cross.
That would have been quite the coincidence. Don't you agree, Torsten?
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. And she gestures over to the writer.
Oh, yeah, I reach out probably a very different hand to a doctor's hand. It's covered in ink and bits of smudge, and I reach it across the carriage. August Konigmark. Nice to meet you. And like, if you touch it, you're gonna get dirty. I merely apologize, but August doesn't. Blissfully unaware. It's so nice to travel and wonderful to see so many new and exciting things.
Yes. Torsten, a hanky?
Of course.
And she'll cleanse her hand quickly.
I think the most pleasant thing about this journey, besides the view out the window, is something that has made me chuckle, is that we have August in December, or at least we will when we arrive.
Bother you too much.
Very true.
Sorry, I don't think we caught your names.
Of course, my apologies. I'm Inga, and this is Torsten.
Pleased to meet you.
Inga, Torsten, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
You can sense the change in tone of the engine as it doesn't pull quite so hard and the carriages are slowing down. Looking out of the window, the scenery has been, of course, beautiful, lush green forests on a mountainous landscape. But you're pulling into, and Doug, I wonder if we could share the screen now. You're pulling into the village railway station here at the bottom of this map. That's marked on the platform. The signs say December, but you can see beyond the building of the railway station a long green valley that heads up quite some distance away. There aren't many houses, actually. There's none around the station itself. The village is not built for the railway station, and the station has been built for the village. There's quite a lot of noise on the carriage, on the platform, apart from the steam engine, as a number of milk churns are being offloaded from the train that you guys are on and being put down rather haphazardly on the platform. They're empty milk churns because you've come from the city, and you can surmise, I think, that this is a dairy farming community, and these are going to be taken back to the dairy, filled with milk, and sometime in the early hours of the morning, a train will be carting them back to the city to give fresh milk to the people of Uppsala. But as you get down off the station, this noise is there. You also see, so there are train staff offloading the milk churns. You'll also see a carter picking them up off the platform and putting them on the back of his cart. Where are you guys headed?
What kind of walk is it into the village, and or is there what's ahead of us?
Well, I imagine you are all thinking of rooming at the inn while you do your investigations separately. There is only one inn in the village. It's quite high up this green valley, so it would be quite a long walk, but not an impossible walk to do. It might take an hour and a half. There doesn't seem to, there's no taxi service or anything like that down here. This is very much a rural railway station.
Torsten, I do believe we should drop our things at the inn, for I will not wish to be carrying them when we go visit the doctor.
Quite. Allow me to help you with your bags.
Thank you. Looks like we're in for a bit of a walk. Bit of cardio never hurt anyone, though. August, it was a pleasure to meet you. I do suggest washing your hands now and then.
What? Is there something...
Ink is not for eating. I just worry of your health, of course. And I tap my doctor bag.
Yes. I like wipe my hands on my jacket, kind of like, yeah, okay. Shall we head, and gestures down the road? Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Begins walking.
Just before we do, Nistrom, Father Nistrom, is going to stop by the milk churn loading person. How's he doing? How's he struggling? I'll say, hey, good day.
You're right. He's left. The railway staff aren't interested in helping him out, so he's doing quite a strenuous job of stacking all these milk churns up on the cart. But he's very cheerful, and when you say good day, he turns and greets you and says, good day, Father. It's a pleasure to see you here. What brings you to December?
I'm here to see a colleague, the parish parishioner. What? I should know these terms. I don't know these terms.
I honestly, I don't know enough about the Swedish church to know, but he might well
the
be
local
vicar
church leader. The vicar, yeah.
Mr. I'm just trying to remember his name. Sorry, I've just forgotten his name.
This person
Father
needs to go to
Peter.
church more.
Father Peter, yes.
Father Peter. He holds out. He wipes his hands before holding one out to you and says, "My name is Eric. Would you like if you can wait for a short while until I finish this job, I will have space enough to give you a lift. It's not a very comfortable carriage, such as you might expect in Uppsala, but it's a long walk for a man of God, and I would be very happy to do you the favor of giving you a ride."
I would very much appreciate that. Can I help you with any of these?
He looks with surprise, but is very happy to accept your help, and feels you are truly a Christian fellow to help in the labours of a working man like himself. So I am going to get you to make a roll to see how well you do. at helping him.
Ooh.
Okay. Well,
First roll of the whole weekend.
Yes.
No pressure, Jonathan.
all right.
No
No pressure.
Now, I'm just going to have a look at your character sheet and work out what sort of role I'm going to get you to make.
I have a
Broadly
physique.
speaking, you are, I think this is more about force, as it were. I think so. This is physical labor you're doing here. So to make a roll in this game, you roll a number of dice equal to your physique and your force skill.
I have a physique of 3 and a force of 0, so I will roll 3 of these
Do you?
lovely dice.
Do you have a force of 0?
Oh no, hold on. Am I? Yeah, I am on the right character sheet.
Are you? You're the priest. I see you with a
yes.
force of 1.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was looking at the wrong character sheet. Very well. I have a physique of 3 and a force of 1, so that's 4 of these lovely Vaesen dice that I shall be rolling.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
I'm using Coriolis dice because I simply have more of them.
Yeah, I don't
Vaesen
like
dice are very
there's
beautiful.
They're very beautiful, but there's only 6 of them, so
Yeah.
I might have to buy a second pack.
I might have to too.
I got 1 success as I am saying to. Sorry, I've forgotten his name already.
Eric
Eric.
is all it's
As I'm just saying to Eric, I'm going. I bring up the. It wasn't a parable. It was a thing about how the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. As I'm kind of helping him out.
Right, yes. He appreciates the homily, as it were. And, you're not an expert stacker, but you can do the job well enough. 1 success is all you need to help him to be an actual positive help to him. And you get the the churns on the back of the cart, pretty quickly. And then he makes a great show of using his handkerchief to wipe the side of the seat, the bench that at the front that you'll be sitting on, and to make sure it's clean for your cloth, as it were, and invites you to climb up into it. While you're doing that, can I go back to the other 3? Are you walking up all together? Or
I guess as I came with Father Nystrom, I'll be like halfway up, and then I'll or a good way along, and then I'll stop and I'll be a bit like, I appear to have lost. Well, I've never lost a man of the cloth before, and I will turn around and I will jog back to the station to find him, in as dignified manner as I can muster in front of the doctor.
Yeah, jogging in a dignified manner.
Yes, no, it's not tall.
So Torsten and Inga, what do you think of that?
Quite peculiar, don't you think, Torsten?
Seems we're on our own, Doctor.
They were lively, weren't they?
Maybe it's for the best.
We'll continue onwards toward the village.
Right. As the drayman clicks his teeth at the horses and shakes the reins a little to start them off, you see August coming back onto the platform. Whose is that?
Sorry, is that me?
Father Nystrom. It may be.
There's a train going by my flat.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, that's the authentic sound of the train leaving the station, obviously. But yes, you're seeing your companion, August, come running back to the platform.
If I spot him, I'll be like, look, I'm here. Look, in the most obvious manner that anybody can see a woman running down the road waving at a cart and horse. But, I've got to make it obvious.
I'll turn to Eric. Eric, sorry, would you mind helping out my friend August here with a space? Is it possible?
We can all three squeeze up a little bit, he says, and he moves to the very end, half of one buttock hanging off, and indicates to you that you should come more intimately up to him to create a bit of space for August. But yes, and I think you all three can sit up front without having to put August in the back with the milk germs.
Excellent. I'm going to go close that window, but I'm still listening.
Okay. So while all that's going on, I want to tell you, Inga and Torsten, about something that might happen as you walk up the hill. Give me a moment. I've lost my events. Right. So when you're left on your own and you're carrying on walking up the hill, you are aware of a raven on the wall, perched on the wall, looking at a stone wall of one of the pastures, looking at you. And you know that ravens have that way of looking at anything with something that to us humans looks like a very human intelligence. And it looks at the two of you and it cocks its head to one side, almost like it's sizing the two of you up. And then it flies away. But as it takes off, you notice it sort of raises a cloud of dust, which on this summer day is slightly unusual.
Torsten, did you see that?
The raven. They're supposed to be bad luck, you know.
Disconcerting.
And as you get nearer to where it was, you'll notice that the dust, it's summer. So the roads are a little bit dusty. But it's also Sweden. So the grass is very green. It's very lush. And generally speaking, the dust is kept fixed firmly to the ground. But what's particularly intriguing about the dust that has settled around where that crow had been perched and from where it took off is it's black on the stone, a fine layer of soft black dust.
Doctor, do you see this?
What is this?
I'm going to sort of reach out and just kind of get some in my fingers and sort of see if I can see what it is.
Hopefully that's not a plague.
It's obviously, Torsten, you recognise this because generally it's not the sort of work you do now that you're a gentle servant, but when you started out in service, you were cleaning grates and stuff like that. This is plain and ordinary soot, but soot is what it is.
How peculiar. Soot.
What do you mean soot?
I'm quite sure. Smell.
It has the carbon smell of coal soot. Well, no, actually, it's got the flavour of the smell, not of coal soot, which you, of course, have been quite familiar with from your train ride. It feels more like the soot of wood, of the soot you get from the end of a roast meal, even. Quite, as soot goes, quite sweet and pleasant smelling.
Has there been a forest fire nearby?
Looking around, do you want to see if you can ascertain whether there's been a forest fire nearby?
I would love to, because that's the only reason that she can imagine why a raven would be covered in soot.
Okay, so we'll have to have a look. What sort of skills do you think you're going to need?
Ooh,
I think it might be a learning skill, mightn't it?
sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that's logic and learning. You've got 2 dice in learning, and you have 3 in logic.
So we're gonna roll 5 here. I got no successes.
Okay, so now we get to talk about how you get to do a reroll in Vaesen. The push mechanic is what makes every freely game unique. And this push mechanic has a lot of similarities with the push mechanic of Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood. You have to take a condition if you want to push. It's a little bit different with this one in that you've got 8 conditions. The cost of taking a condition is that, I should say these 8 conditions are divided 4 for physical and 4 for mental. Once you've got a condition, that means you roll 1 less dice on mental skills, since you're going to, if you push this roll, you're going to be taking a mental condition, and that means that you roll 1 less dice on all your mental skills until you can rid yourself of that condition.
I think that she would not push. She would be more like a glance around. If she didn't see anything burnt, she would leave that thought where it was.
Well, there's nothing. I mean, there are no clues you can see to there having been a forest fire recently. Everything's looking green and lush. There's no evidence of a forest fire anywhere within the confines of the valley as far as you can see.
Curiouser and curiouser, Torsten.
Quite.
Let's get on with this business and get out of this town.
As you start off again, you hear the clip-clopping of a dray horse behind you, and the cart comes up behind you and passes you, giving you plenty of room. And you'll notice that the priest and August are sitting on the front of it. I'm sure, guys, you greet your newfound friends, do you?
Yeah.
As you go past.
Hello again.
Hello, Father. August?
Doesn't look very comfortable.
No, it does not. Glad we chose to walk.
Right, so you're carrying on walking up there. So I just have to remember what happens next in the scenario. Where's me?
We all drink lemonade.
And you go home. No,
Yeah.
Raven. Okay. Are you engaging Eric in conversation at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either myself or August. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
like asking him rather like stupid questions, like what is the life of a rural dairy farmer all about? You know, that kind of enthusiastic but ultimately really stupid questions about things.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
So Eric explains, well, I'm not a dairy farmer. No, I'm just a cartman, a drayman is what they call me. I don't know why he's speaking with a fake West Country accent in Sweden. Forgive me that. I'm dreadful at accents. So I couldn't really say what the life of a dairy farmer is. I would say they have to get up earlier than me because they have to get maybe the farmer doesn't have to milk the cows. So the farmer hereabouts, the Oberg family, they own most of what you can see here. But the dairy maids and the dairy hands, they're getting up very early in the morning to milk the cows to make sure these churns behind us are full of milk. And then I take them down to the station, and the train takes them to Uppsala, and then you pour the milk on your I don't know, in your porridge. And you pour it on your oats and you make yourself porridge and you have yourself a fine breakfast, or in your tea, with your delicate tea in your china cups.
Yeah, I'm seldom allowed to drink with the fine china, but it does look very nice. Tell me, Mrs. Oberg, is the farmer married?
Oh yes, no, the Obergs have been married a long time. They have a daughter. Mrs. Oberg is very well. Have you heard about the daughter, though, Margalita? Margalisa. Hold on. I'll change the name. I have to remember the name.
Margareta.
Margareta. You've heard about Margareta, have you?
Yes.
Only in passing. She says, like trying to bluff this one out. But
can I just ask, Millie, has the priest divulged the contents of the letter he received with you?
I don't think so, but I do remember the doctor saying she got a letter from the Obergs, and now I'm just fishing.
Right. Okay. Very well.
That's what I'm doing here. I'm fishing in the way a writer would. Like, if the Obergs have written to a doctor, then perhaps somebody in the Oberg family is very ill, and let's find out.
Well, it's not about illness, he says, and he has a slightly conspiratorial tone. And bear in mind, he's kind of talking around the priest because it's not the sort of thing a priest should hear.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, you've heard that Margareta is with child.
I'll do like a gasp. And the husband?
There is no husband.
Well, that is...
Yes. So one might say very healthy, he says. Although, in deference to you, Father, one might also say morally unhealthy, obviously. But no, the whole family are in fine health.
And I will be delighted with myself now. I've got some scandalous and wonderful stories to tell about this that are all now inside my head, and I've made up a whole history of people I've never met. But yeah, I will endeavor to return to my notes and write things at this, being very excited.
Eric, tell me a bit about December's history. I'm here to go and see Father Peter, but I hear December has a very rich history in certain old tales.
I'm no historian. I'm a drayman, but I can tell you a little bit about December. What can I say? Well, I can say that these cows and all this you see here, the dairy, this is all new, really. This village we used to grow corn, and we used to raise sheep, and we used to sell fleeces, and we used to grind our own bread. But since the railway has come, well, we get our bread delivered, and we don't grow grain anymore. Everything's turned to pasture, and yes, we sell milks to the city. So the village has seen some changes. That is true.
The prosper of industry, it seems. And what of the spiritual health of the people? It's something of a hobby of mine to learn about people's beliefs and the histories of beliefs of a place.
Well, we're all good Christian folk here, or if that's what you mean. No paganism or anything here. I'm
not here to root anything out. It's a hobby of mine to learn about these things. That's all.
Well, I don't know so much about things like that. I can tell you a story though. You don't know Old Carl. Old Carl, he has seen a strange fellow hereabouts, a haunting, a ghost maybe, who is called the Grey Man. And people say the Grey Man is responsible for those children what have gone missing. People say that they were tempted into the woods by the Grey Man. But then again, others say that they were tempted into the woods by wild animals. And they say they've seen the animals trying to cajole other children into the woods. So I don't know whether you can believe any of it at all.
I mean, missing children is terrible regardless of how it's happened.
It is. It is. The doctor was distraught when his children went missing. Absolutely distraught. But, we searched. We all of us helped looking for the children in the woods, and there was not a sign of them.
That is terrible.
One by one they went.
One by one. December, there are still children, aren't there? Or have they all gone?
There are other children hereabouts, yes. But nowadays, they're mostly told to play inside. And obviously, since all these stories came about, they don't get to play outside so often.
Understandable. Oh, that is tragic. Absolutely tragic.
I never played outside much as a child, completely missing like the sorrow and the emotion of everybody else. I never played outside as a child. We had a wonderful library. There's such wonderful worlds children can find in books. Completely missing the point. Just right over ahead.
Ah, books. Yes, he says, with the tone of voice of somebody who probably can't read and therefore doesn't necessarily trust people who can. But he's a good-hearted fellow. Anyway, he pulls into the dairy at this point, and I would like one of you to make a vigilance test.
Millie,
okay.
please. I've already had a roll.
Oh, you have vigilance. Let me see if I can. Well, I have nothing in vigilance, but 4 in logic, so that's not too bad.
All right.
Let's try. I get 2 successes.
2 successes.
2
Excellent.
successes.
Right. So the asking you to stay on the cart while he does this work and not asking for any favors. The drayman gets off the cart, goes down the back, starts offloading the empty churns. Now, because you got 2, well, actually, no, I have to roll it. See how you've done there against.
So close to having a good result. Ready to have it snatched away. It's right there.
Oh, God, where are the creatures in my write-up? I was revising this earlier today. Where have they gone? All right, okay. Okay, so you got 2 successes.
Yes.
Right, yes. You see quite clearly here the raven that you haven't seen before, sorry. You see a raven come flapping onto the edge of one of the milk churns, not one of the empty ones, that nowhere near where Eric is offloading the things. He comes down flapping as though he's going to land on one of these milk churns, but actually gets it right on the edge and tips it over and then flies away. And the top comes off the milk churn, milk spreads out all over the concrete of the dairy yard, absolutely ruined because, cows do their business here. and this great big white puddle spreads out over that. You're the only person to have seen that, though, because at that point, the man in charge of the dairy yard comes out and sees the spilt churn and immediately accuses Eric of clumsiness. What are you doing, you idiot? Why are you anywhere near the full churns?
No. Oh, I saw this. It was a most spectacular event, almost as if the cunning of the creature itself demanded some sort of mischief. A bird. What is it? And I'll if I knew it, I would say it in Latin, but I don't. But August will. And then she'll go back and go, a raven. A raven did it.
Corvidae.
And then flew,
I believe in
flew
Latin.
away. Yeah.
Now, he's ignoring you, and it looks like he's ready to lay into the drayman. And Eric, who has been such a friendly fellow to you, immediately he looks with a bit of a sneer at the dairyman and is properly affronted that he's being accused of clumsiness. I will let you interrupt if you can succeed in an inspiration test.
Ooh, how do I do that?
Have you got inspiration? Let's have a look.
Is it on my sheet? Where would it be?
It would be. It's an empathy skill.
Ooh, okay,
You
yes.
yeah, you do.
I do. So it's 3 in that. And then it's also empathy, which is, I'm very good at this, which is 7 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who'd have thought it? A writer with inspiration. No, they're not 6s. They're 1s. Darn it.
Okay.
Push.
Yes, I will. I will push this roll. Becoming, what would it be? Is it
so basically you've got a choice of 3. I said 4, but actually the 4th one is when you get broken.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a bit angry, you can get a bit frightened, or you can get a bit hopeless. That I think hopeless is the one that you're thinking, what can a weak and frail, disorganized writer such as yourself do in the face of this manly laboring virility about to thump each other?
Yeah, maybe that. Or maybe I just get angry and I stamp my foot in the milk.
Or you can get angry and stamp.
No.
Yes. Listen to
No,
me. Yes.
listen to me. So I take so I only roll 6 dice this time. Is that right?
No. So when you push, it's the act of pushing that gives you the thing. So you roll all your dice this
7
time.
again.
But in future, you'll be rolling 1 less on mental skills until you can clear this. You're going for angry, are you?
Yes, I'm angry now. I'm very angry that I've been ignored. I'm a published author, thank you very much. You should pay attention to me. That's not what she's saying, but I stamp my foot in the milk and say, listen, it was the bird with a remarkable feat of dexterity, and it knocked this down, and it simply wasn't the very kind gentleman who gave us a lift on this cart and dray. Dray, is that the right term? And I get 2 successes from having a bit of a tantrum.
Okay. So you haven't particularly seen this in this writer who you've known for some time now. You've never seen her blood boil, and these are 2 big. Sorry, I'm talking to you, Father Peter. Father
Nistrum.
You saw these 2 women, 2 men, about to thump each other, and this virago marching between the 2 of them, pushing them apart, stamping her feet, and just making them listen. And they themselves are so stunned by it that even though you can see her face is red with anger that she was ignored while she was trying to explain what went on, she does actually calm the two of them down, and to be honest, confuse them, because they weren't listening to you before. So they kind of say that again. At which point, let's bring the other two. You two come walking up the hill, and you're just seeing the aftermath of this scene with these two big labouring fellows, kind of held back by this young woman with her inky fingers pressed against their chest and kicking away.
Torsten, what was the word that I used to describe them? Excitable?
Seems our writer friend is getting to know the locals.
Oh, should we just pass by, or should we stop this?
Probably best if we intervene. We don't want any unnecessary unpleasantness.
I do appreciate your kind heart, Torsten. Go on, break it up then. I'm right behind you. And I clean my hands again at the thought of this nightmare.
So August. Sorry, Torsten, are you doing anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say I stroll over. That's all.
Okay. So August, you've got two very confused sort of individuals looking at you quizzically, saying, "What you saying?"
The bird. Did you see the bird? The black bird, and a raven in the commenter, and it landed. Well, it didn't quite land. It flew. Yes, yeah. Did you see it? You must have seen it as well. Oh, you're from the train. Yes, we were just discussing, because this raven flew down from here. It didn't quite land. It almost landed. And the momentum from its flight knocked over one of these urns and spilt it on the floor. Now, and I put my hand on the angry dairy farmer. This gentleman was understandably confused and thought that perhaps our new friend Ernie, he had been perhaps
he says.
yeah, he'd perhaps been clumsy and knocked it over, but that's not the case at all, because the bird flew down. It was quite remarkable how it did it. I'm surprised nobody else had seen it. It really does pay attention to the world around you.
Nobody else here at the dairy saw the bird, and their responses are, "What? I didn't see no bird." And in fact, they're kind of coming to terms with each other now, in that they're both confident that neither of them saw any bird. Torsten, of course, you did see a bird, but not here at the yard. So what's your reaction?
Well, we saw a very odd raven further down on the path. Maybe it was the same one. Most curious thing, had a patch of coal dust around him.
Was it coal
Very
dust?
odd.
It was quite sweet smelling, wasn't it, Torsten?
Yes, maybe not coal.
It was soot, definitely, but yes, you think probably not coal soot.
Matthew, do I know if a raven is capable of knocking over something as heavy as a thing of milk?
That would be a learning skill roll, I think.
Is it okay if I roll that?
And that's also somebody of my age brought up with the comedy that I was brought up with, desperately not saying, well, it might have been an African raven. Or maybe two of them. But,
they work together. All right. So it's going to be logic plus learning. So I'll roll 5 again.
Yeah.
No successes. I don't know what's happening.
I think for no successes, you doubted it. You came into that doubting it, and you still doubt that a raven could, they've got quite a low center of gravity, milk churns. You can't quite get a model in your head of how the physics would work that a raven could knock it over. Maybe it was perched poorly, clumsily, maybe it was on a stone and was at tipping point already, but that's all you can think of.
August, dear.
Yes.
I think I'm having a bit of hysterics. Come, I have a thing for that. I pop open my bag.
This must have happened so many times through August's life. It's like, no, it's definitely not a story. This is the real world. I know the difference between telling story, and she'll just continue to like assert that she is familiar with what is real and what is imaginary. As we.
Well,
Of course.
it seems that my dear friend August has witnessed something strange that none of us have also seen, and yet it has certainly united. And I'm saying this in a very almost like there's a sermon in this. I'm saying and her words have united these two gentlemen where they were once about to hurt each other. Gentlemen, I pray you go in peace. I feel my dear friend August and I shall depart and leave you to your work. Go with God. We shall make our way from here to the inn. Eric, thank you very much for your time and effort in allowing us to journey with you on the cart. Inga and Torsten, would you care for some company for the rest of the walk to the inn?
Oh, Inga cuts a quick look to Torsten with no.
Completely oblivious. So, well, it seems we're headed in the same direction. Let's stroll together.
Yes, let's.
So, taking your cases off the back of the cart, you all head up towards the inn. You haven't united these two labourers in full love. They are grumbling at each other as you hear them talking about spilled drinks and things like that. And they've obviously, this wasn't just blown up out of one incident.
Passing comment as I leave, just loud enough for them to hear. Don't cry over spilled milk.
Okay. Now,
I should have expected that, but I didn't.
As you're walking up, something else happens. And I just have to remember what that is again, because I do remember what it is, but I'll just remember there's any. So, as you're walking up the last bit of the hill into the village, you can see labourers' cottages on either side of the road. You can hear the sort of sounds of everyday life. There's smoke coming out of chimneys and things like that. But in the middle of the road ahead of you is a kitten. Like a domestic kitten. And she's kind of looking at you in a way that's wondering which one of you is the one she's going to ask, rub along your calf and hope for a stroke or a tickle from. Sizing each of you up.
Torsten, do you think... Should I? Do you have gloves? Gloves, Torsten.
Of course, Doctor. One moment.
And I'll crouch down to pet this cute little kitty.
Okay, so you've got... could you just describe the gloves that Torsten gave you?
Yeah, so they are white gloves. Not
Cotton?
Yes, cotton. They're not for doing surgery or anything. This is just to protect her hands.
Okay, well, what you immediately strikes you as you bend down to stroke this kitten is she is sopping wet, and the water from her fur immediately soaks through your cotton gloves as you stroke her.
Oh, can I have a shawl on?
You can have a shawl. Yes.
Pull my shawl off and gather up this little kitten. The poor thing is going to get hypothermia this way. And I start drying it off.
Okay. I would like you to make a fear test.
Oh no!
Because you're a doctor, you know how things work, and as you say, hypothermia, drying her off. Your shawl is getting soaked as you dry. Water is coming off the kitten, but her fur is getting no drier. This is not natural. Whether crows can knock over milk churns, you're willing to entertain that possibility. But this is just weird. So I'm just reminding myself how to do the fear test because I always struggle with this. You are with 3 other people, so you can take +3 dice, but you have to decide whether you're going to tackle this irrational fear with logic or empathy.
She would go with logic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So roll your logic dice +3 for the companions that you have around you.
All right, 1 success.
1 success is all you need.
Phew.
So you're thinking there must be a logical explanation for this, but this cat seems to be like a sponge of water. The more you soak from her, the more she delivers.
Torsten, and she holds it away from her body a little bit as the entire shawl starts to darken and with water. How it's not getting dry.
It's just a wet cat, isn't it?
And she'll unwrap it a little bit, and it's just as wet as when she started. This is fine. Good kitty. And she'll set that cat down.
Okay. You're putting it back on the street, taking your shawl off it, and it rubs against your calf. Obviously, you've got long skirts on as well, but it rubs against your calf, leaving a bit of a damp patch, but in a sort of sign of thanks, and then skips off up the street, dips between 2 houses, and is gone.
How peculiar.
Uh-huh.
How
Okay.
peculiar.
We should carry on.
Yes, suddenly the fire. You're hoping the fire of a warm hearth in the inn seems even more attractive than it was before. So, do you want to head there?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Time to unpack.
Okay, so the inn. Let me tell you about the inn. The inn is an old and yet robust building, a haven full of light, cheer, and good service that the characters should be happy to work out of while you stay in December. You're greeted by friendly landlady who shows you to your rooms. Torsten, you've got an attic room because obviously you're less gentle than everybody else. But the rest of you have rooms on the first floor that are modest, perhaps, compared to city rooms, but reasonably comfortable. They don't suffer from damp. They are reasonably well appointed for what you might find in a country inn: a washstand, a commode, a reasonably comfy bed. Yours is a single bed, Torsten, but the others are reasonably large as well. Yes, so and they say whenever you want to come down, we've got a stew on. And there's drinks, of course, of all sorts. And when you're ready, just come down and eat.
Ingrid takes a minute to compose herself. Make sure she washes her hands thoroughly from holding this kitten. and goes down.
Okay, what is everybody else doing?
Are there any windows in my attic room?
Yes, yours is a sort of dormer window. You know, you're in the roof space, but there's a little sort of thatched round half light, as it were.
I'm going to sort of have a peer outside just for a few minutes and just see if I can see any ravens flying around.
Okay, well, I imagine the test. I always get confused between the three different sort of observation tests here, but I think that's a vigilant skill.
Sounds good. I have only 3 dice. I'll give it a go. 1 success.
1 success. You don't see ravens flying around particularly, but you do see fox sort of making its way between the houses somewhere. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. In that case, I head downstairs for some dinner.
Cool. Nistrum is going to unpack his fairly simple belongings. He's, different, basically the same uniform, just
clothes. Yes.
The cloth, but 3 of them or whatever it is. And he's going to lay out his Bible. He's going to lay out his crucifix. He's going to take a few moments to just say a prayer, maybe read a psalm, something like that, just before heading down, just trying to center himself. Yeah.
Excellent. And August, what are you doing?
She's probably just going to chuck a case somewhere, across the room on the floor, still in a bit of a grump from people ignoring her earlier. Look around, probably then consider, well, I better enjoy this because I'm probably not going to be able to afford many hotel and inn sort of stays, and gather up my notebook and stuff and head back down.
Right, I think you're probably going to be first down in the inn. And as you get into the main sort of saloon area, a number of dairy workers and workers in the fields are coming in. The day is ending. A lot of them are coming for a good drink of ale to quench their parched throats. So there's quite a lot of activity. Again, it feels warm and friendly. Mm-hmm. But you could engage anybody in conversation if you wanted to.
I'm gonna look around. Is everybody here mostly grown up? Are there any sort of because I'm remembering that there's no children, or the children aren't allowed to play out, and it's how old do all the people look? Is this a town that there's no youth left in, and all that kind of stuff is going wild through her mind?
I think what you're not seeing anywhere are children 11 and under, but by the time people are 13, 14, they'd be working in the fields unless they were going away to school or something like that. So there are indeed 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds here drinking and chatting with everybody else, but sort of, in a way, presenting themselves as adults.
Yeah, but no families, if you will, or with the younger children or anything.
The younger children seem to be staying at home, but there are families. So, 13 and 14-year-olds are working with older brothers and sisters and parents and stuff like that. So there are family groups there.
Oh, okay. So she's gonna probably cross out 3 or 4 lines in whatever she was writing at seeing this sort of. Oh well, okay, never mind. Next page, and just go on. Maybe try and find somebody and ask about the Grey Man, get a little bit more like I hear there's tales of a grey man who lures foolish people away. Is it because you have drank too much in the inn and tempted?
Okay, so who are you talking to here? Just
anybody who'll listen, who is foolish enough to have had an empty seat next to them.
Okay, who's the first person you approach? Because everybody here is full of gossip about stuff. So just describe the person you're meeting here. Is it a dairymaid? Is it a labourer? Is it?
Yeah, I've chatted with a couple of gents, so let's go and chat with the dairymaid because she probably won't ignore me like blokes do.
No. So she's very friendly and, frankly, quite flattered for a city lass like you to be taking an interest in her and her work. So when you mention the grey man, she immediately comes out with her theory. And she says, well, you see, the grey man controls 3 spirits, a fox, a black cat, and a raven. And they do not fear men like other animals, but freely come into the village. Some even say they have seen them in their houses.
The spirits come into the house? Uninvited?
Well, they come as animals, it is said, yes.
What happens if... Can you make friends with the spirits, with the animals? What? For instance, if you upset it, would they destroy or knock over your milk?
She thinks that's a bit of a strange question, but they might do. I think they're quite mischievous. That's what people have said. I've not seen any of them myself. This is all stuff I've heard.
Oh, mischievous. And she'll just be like, and you've never seen... Who has seen them? And try and get it like the third-hand tale of whatever it is who's told her all about.
Well, the one who's seen... when she comes in for conspiratorial things. The one who's seen most of the grey man is the huntsman, Carl. But, some people say that he might be making the story of the grey man up to cover for his own crimes.
Crimes? Goodness, what a terrible thing to hear. What crimes?
Those 3. Did you not hear about the doctor's children?
Oh, only a little. People don't like to gossip and talk, so only a little. I'm new in town. Tell me more.
I don't know that it's my place.
I will, in the age-old tradition of people in taverns, in RPGs, perhaps look at my coin and think, oh, okay. And I will say, no. Look, you're. Maybe we could have something to go with the stew. What would you? And I'll buy her a drink or something else to go with the stew. I don't know if they do cake here or pudding, rice
or
pudding,
spirit.
a spirit or something.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, she'll take some of the apple brandy that they sell here, and she says, well. No, Dr. Raphael. And as she starts talking about Dr. Raphael, you can see her eyes light up. He's a very handsome man. And he came to the village to marry. He came to the village married, I should say. But his wife died in childbirth, turns out. And he's been such a stalwart member of the village. One would have thought he'd go back to Stockholm, where he came from. But no, he stayed here as our village doctor. And really, as a village, we're very lucky to have a doctor living so close by. Other villages all around, they have to send their ill people here or come and collect Dr. Raphael and take him off to where they lie abed miles away. But we have him in our village. And we were so afraid we were going to lose him when his wife died. But no, he stayed. But then, one by one, his children went missing.
And it was the huntsman Carl that did it. He lured them away.
No. Well, people say it was the grey man that did it. Or these creatures. But some say that it was Carl, yes. But don't say I didn't tell you.
No. It's a secret between us. She says, writing everything down in the book. Yes.
Meanwhile, the other three of you come down.
Do I overhear any of this conversation?
I believe you would hear that last bit, that last exchange, if you came down, yes.
It is not polite to gossip.
No, we're not. Writes even more down.
She'll eyeball you and then go sit down.
Come now, Inga. It's also not our place to judge.
Ooh.
Well, I understand.
Shall we have a drink?
Father, I understand.
I'm not in the cloth at this point. I am in my spare clothes.
He's not wearing you're not wearing your dog collar.
No, I'm off duty. I'm pulling a Vicar of Dibley, and I'm off duty. And I'll hand her a drink, and Torsten as well. I'll have bought a round, so to speak, hoping that I've picked something that they like.
I do apologize. I'm sorry, I don't know your name besides Father.
It's Victor Nystrom.
Should I call you Victor or Nystrom?
Whichever you please.
Well, Victor, I do apologize for my previous attitude. Dr. Raphael is an old friend of mine, and his sorrows touch my heart closely.
Oh, of course. When such things are spoken about, and you are connected to it, yes, it can hurt. So I mean that is entirely understandable. And your outburst was not. I mean, I for one am not. Heaven forbid, judging your judgment, so to speak. But to know that, to be told that is to appreciate the situation, to learn something more about who you are as a person, but also a bit more about this place, December.
Well, I shall apologize to August later. Perhaps if she has the same understanding as yourself, we can move past any hard feelings.
Perhaps. I myself have been brought here by, as I was saying on the train, my colleague, Father Peter. Yes, Father Peter.
Would you like us to show the map, show the letter to everybody on the screen?
Yeah, it's not fantastically readable. Maybe either you or I could read it out.
Well, yeah, you can tell the gist of it, and I'll see if I can call it up to.
You can correct me where I'm wrong. So I received a letter from a colleague from seminary, Father Peter. In this letter, he speaks of the spiritual state of December and how there is a lot of chatter, it seems, about consorting with fey spirits, and how there is one young woman who is with child out of wedlock, who swears that the father is her betrothed. However, other details are that her betrothed was a soldier who died in battle. So there is something of a mystery to get to the bottom here, which lies outside of my colleague Peter's experience or comfort.
Does this fall within your experience and comfort?
Well, within my comfort, perhaps not, but as far as things of a spiritual nature outside of the church. It's something of a hobby of mine. So more often than not, there is a very mundane answer. But I have found that there are some things that are miraculous in God's creation. There have been some occasions.
Some things that are not quite so miraculous, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I can't find the letter, so I'm not going to share it with you, but or share it with our viewers. But
I
so
could
yes,
read it out in full if you like.
well, if you feel you want to read it to Inga, then you can. But it's I think
All right, we'll leave it.
Yeah. So, August, let's go back to you. The other three are all sitting at a table together. Do you join them eventually, or do you carry on quizzing other villagers?
I think what I probably want to do, if they're all sort of not gossiping, but chatting amongst themselves, I'm slightly concerned I'm missing out on character moments that I could take and put in my novel later. About this journey, so I'm going to thank the milkmaid, and then dash over, and go and sit down, and maybe share a few of my notes, my findings, and explain like they're so obsessed with spirits, and I wonder if it was connected because we've seen a cat and we've seen a bird, and I think we need to go keep an eye out for a fox, and just dive into it as if everybody's already up to speed with everything, like blissfully unaware that they're not talking about what I'm talking about.
August. Slow down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?
No. It was a lot. Now you were talking about the gray man.
Yeah, it sounds like it's one of their things around here, the grey man. Although some people think it's a gent called Carl, which is unfortunate to have that misunderstanding. But the children, they went missing. The doctor, I think that, and I'll gesture over to the milkmaid and say like I think she quite likes him. I think quite a few of the milkmaids quite like him. It'd be nice to meet him. He sounds rather
He lost
anyway.
Anna recently. That's not appropriate.
No, I didn't. I did make a note. I should just probably check before I. But the children, they went missing.
His oldest daughter, Charlotte, died of supposedly a broken heart. Something I haven't witnessed myself. But Raphael is a capable doctor, so if he says that's what it is, then that is what it is. And then his other children have supposedly disappeared into the wood. And I'll unfold my letter, and I'll actually pass it across the way. Though I didn't hear of the Gray Man, my letter refers to a local legend of the Queen of Spring.
Ooh. Nobody yet has mentioned that. Do doctors often refer to folklore in their? It's not something I've ever encountered. Normally, you're very sensible people.
Well, Raphael did not write this letter. He was. This letter was written to me on behalf of Dr. Raphael. He is a stoic man who would not ask for help. Yes, indeed. And I am sorry for my outburst earlier. And she'll put a hand across the table, but not quite touch your ink-stained hands, just like it's a gesture.
I'll take your hand. I'll grab it. Thank you.
I preempt the request and take a handkerchief and pass it over.
No, I understand. It's very. You have to talk to people a lot if you want to write engaging stories. And that means you just have to, besides, it's a bit fun.
Just be cautious that you are not stepping on others' feelings when you are doing so.
that is a fair point. I will try to remember.
I love August so much.
Never going to remember. I will. Yeah. So, I will share the bits and pieces. So, the thing about the fox and the black cat and the raven, and then suddenly it'll dawn. The cat, the wet cat that we saw in the street, was that a black cat?
It was a black cat.
And then with that, it will like, oh, you two, and I saw the raven.
I saw a fox from the window.
Torsten, you didn't.
I did. It didn't seem worthy of remarking on. It was just a fox, but now it seems more relevant.
My
But
goodness.
does this mean, Father, did you see the cat?
The cat
Everybody saw the cat.
Yeah,
yeah.
the cat that we stopped so that Inga might. The very strange occurrence. We will admit, very strange occurrence of the wet cat. Yes.
Just checking because there are three things, and we've each like the men in the dairies didn't seem to. Everybody said I didn't see it, and it wasn't. And so I was just checking. So if you have seen also the thing, the cat, and I have seen the cat, and Dr. Inga has seen the cat, then
We can
Not
say
that-
for certainty that the cat exists, yes.
good. Not that I have ever seen things that other people have never seen.
Of course not, dear.
Perhaps we should find out more about this spirit. This is wonderful. No,
Fantastic. Torsten, do tell them about the raven that we saw.
Yes, we also saw a raven on our way up. When you were in the cart, we walked up to the village. We saw a raven. It appeared to be watching us, wouldn't you say, Doctor?
I would. Its eyes on me. Ugh, I can still feel it.
It was most peculiar. It flew off, and then surrounding it, a little patch, a little circle of soot out of nowhere.
Matthew, can I, with my with Nistrom's previous experience with the more folklore side of his experience, does the ring of soot, or the not necessarily the ring, but does the soot, is that ringing a bell for me?
I think you're going to have to take a learning roll to see whether you've heard anything similar.
I will do that. That is logic. So that is a total of 5 dice. And that is 1 success.
One success. So you have heard of soot being I think, what's the word you'd call it? The sort of, if you like, that's not the word, but like ectoplasm. Let's go with that for a moment. When somebody has died in a fire, they often leaves their ghost is known, or people have reported that their ghost leaves soot as the only physical evidence of their presence.
Oh, dear. Okay, that's okay. Do you share this information with the class?
In a way that I can bring it up without derailing the conversation. Soot marks, you say, from a raven. That's very peculiar. You know, In my experience, my comings and goings, there have been stories of, though not first-hand experience, I should say, of ghosts who leave behind soot marks. These ghosts are people who were once burned to their death or at their death. So this is a very dark turn indeed, if we are to follow this line of reasoning.
If we follow this line of reasoning, then the kitten that I was holding that was wet and would not cease being sopping, could that be the same thing as the soot? This is something that died with drowning?
Absolutely. There's a very high probability.
Torsten, I need you to burn that shawl.
I'll look after it. It's very pretty.
In your, I'm gonna.
Inga, I'd like you, as you're making this realization, to do another fear check.
That seems fair. Okay. Do I get the 3 from people being around me?
Yeah. Yes.
It's okay if it's a no. I won't be mad.
I think you. I'm going to have to check the rules. I think you might not get one from August because August is still angry about the way she gets
cross.
Treated. I have a tincture for that. It's laced with heroin.
I'm not mad.
No. You do get the one from August. So maybe she's broken or terrified.
Okay, then I get 6. I have no successes.
No successes. Okay. So
bad.
You are getting freaked out by this. The idea of people dying in fires, the idea of people drowning, and the fact that you, with your logical head, you're almost more scared that against all reasoning of science, you have worked out that the wet cat might be a drowned spirit of some sort. So on failure, you become terrified. You must roll a 6-sided dice.
Okay. 5.
Right, so it's going to take 5 rounds. If we were in a combat situation, that might matter, but quite a long time for you to recover from this. And you have a choice. You can flee the room, you can freeze, you can faint, or you can lash out at somebody and attack, which I probably don't recommend unless there's a fight going on. And that's what you want. That's all you want to do for the next 5 rounds.
I'm going to freeze.
Okay, so you just withdraw into yourself at the table, thinking about the terrible thing, and you have to select it was a fear test of 1, so you have to select a condition of the mental variety that's going to be a more semi-permanent effect of this fear. Okay.
And so I just select one of the conditions. I'm going to go with frightened because that makes the most sense.
Okay, yeah. So everybody else, Torsten, you probably noticed it first since she's your employer, but you see Emily withdraw in on herself and sort of shut down everything, all communication from the outside.
Inga, are you quite well? Excuse me, I appreciate the irony, but does anyone know a doctor?
Torsten, let's go get her a drink, perhaps, maybe just some water. That letter that she was showing us, can I have one look at it whilst I go and get some water? Please.
I don't see why not. I'll set over.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling to find these letters. Let me just go and find it for you. While you guys chat amongst yourself.
You can just tell me the gist of it. I wanted to know specifically if the letter spoke of how the children had died whilst I go to get the glass of water from the bar.
So I'll read out to you. Good doctor, Raphael will not write to you himself, and nor would he wish that anyone writes on his behalf. And so I write in secret and trust in your professional discretion that you will not divulge the source of this letter. Trust that I disobey his wishes only out of love for him. Raphael and dearest Anna, while she lived, spoke very highly of you, both professionally and as a friend. Still, I know you only by reputation, and fear you must think it is very forward of me to write in this manner. We were overjoyed when our friend Anna, heavy with child, returned with her husband to our village, so that her family might grow up in the country air. All in December love Raphael. I am sure he would have made quite a name for himself had he stayed in bustling Stockholm, for he is an excellent doctor. Poor Anna and her child died in childbirth. The whole village mourned. To be honest, we also feared Raphael would pack up his 3 remaining children and return to the city. Thanks be to God, he did not leave us. But tragedy struck a second time. His eldest daughter, Charlotte, fell ill and died of a broken heart, it is said. And now, in recent weeks, both his surviving children have disappeared into the woods, not to be seen again. Dr. Raphael is putting a brave face on it, not letting his emotions show. But the talk hereabouts is that a malign spirit has whisked them away, perhaps taking animal form to tempt them into the forest. We are all God-fearing folk, of course, but we have a local legend that the Queen of Spring, it is said, protects the wood and frightens hunters. No one here can imagine what grudge she should have against the doctor's children, or himself. Please, I urge you to come to December and help us find his children. And that signed Mrs. Brugge.
Thank you very much. That does not have what I was hoping for, but that is still, worthwhile having read. Coming back with a glass of water. Inga, please, here, have some water. It'll to help settle you.
Now, I believe, and I can't remember where I've read it, that you can treat fear, but maybe we won't worry about that now.
I know that I can. It's on my sheet that when you do a medicine to treat other player, you can heal a total of 4 conditions instead of 3. So that makes me think other people can treat fear.
Right. Although fear is a separate effect. It's not a condition.
Okay.
It leaves you with the condition of frightened.
Got it.
Yeah. But so you're just kind of thinking in yourself for the moment. Torsten and Nistrom, you've told us what you're doing. August, are you doing anything while her eyes seem to have glazed over?
If there is a quiet opportunity, I will perhaps. I don't know. Actually, no. I'm probably just gonna go back through some of the pages in my book. If someone were to be looking over my shoulder, it is a description of how of the doctor and such. And I'm just gonna cross out some lines about them and just cross out some things. Slightly panicked in a sort of moment myself. And then when the water is returned, when the father comes back with the water, then I will. I'll be like, well, Torsten, is this a regular? Is the doctor of faint disposition? I can't imagine that would be the case, but
No, she's a very sound mind. I don't know quite what's come over her.
Right, you're all generally looking at the doctor for the duration, are you? And
yeah.
Okay. Eventually, the stew is served, and that maybe that's what the warmth and the scent of the stew may bring you out of yourself, Inga, as you sit at the table, a home comfort there. And just the presence of other people coming and bustling around you and putting the soup down has interrupted that moment and maybe made everything feel a little bit more normal again.
This smells lovely.
Ah, does it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stew is it?
It's mostly rabbit and vegetables. Yes. Yeah, it's there.
Sounds good.
I will dive into the stew like a hungry writer.
Okay. It tastes a little bit bitter.
I will look at my fingers and perhaps the bread that is now also covered in ink and remember what Inga told me earlier. And look to the others and go, is your stew, is it good without? How's everybody's meal?
Are they all a bit bitter?
Yes.
Not the best stew I've ever had.
I'm still going to eat it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, stew is stew is stew. Like,
Oh, I'll stop and then apologise to Father Nistrum and put my stuff down and go, I'm sorry, Father. And I'm sure like other people in the room also then stop after we've all the kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll wait for some sort of blessing of the meal, as it were. I have rudely.
You do crack me up.
I'm sorry.
no, that's all right, August. I don't think it'll change the taste, but thank you, Lord, for this food. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this company. May the rest of our trip be fruitful, and may we continue to serve your kingdom. Amen.
Amen. Back in the soup.
Inga, I would like you, please, to make a roll. And I'm just going to work out what roll I want you to make.
Okay.
Where's your cat sheet? There we go. Doctor. I would like you to make an investigation roll, please.
And do I take a lower dice count because of my condition?
Yes.
Okay. Investigation. Logic 2. Okay. So I will roll 4 dice. 2 successes.
2 successes. The bitter flavour that everybody was commenting on smells to you, tastes to you of digitalis. And as you look at the vegetables in the soup, you see some of it is foxglove stalks and root.
And foxglove is poisonous, is it not?
Very.
Well, you're the doctor. You tell me.
Yes. Ooh, Torsty, don't eat that. And she's just going to put a hand on everyone's bowls and lower it down. I suggest we imbibe something to cleanse our stomachs. As this... Is everyone eating this stew?
I think pretty much everybody is eating the stew. You're kind of all waiting to do it. Of the group around here, the one with the mostly finished bowl is August.
Oh, August. I am quite sorry, but we need to purge your stomach immediately.
No, you see,
I don't want to create a massive fuss, but and she will lower her voice and do a furtive glance from side to side. Foxglove, the bitterness.
I would like you immediately to take a defect, please, August.
okay.
You have a physique of -1.
Okay.
So, yes, Dr. Inga, you have realized that the food is poisoned, and you're telling everybody that. So I would like everybody, please, to take a fear test. And given that you're all taking the fear test at the same time, I don't think the presence of other people can do it. So however you want to deal with it, either through logic or through empathy, roll that number of dice. And the fear factor is 1.
So, because I'm still slightly angry, does that mean I'm
Yes.
rolling? Okay.
You're rolling 1 less dice for whichever one you choose.
I should have taken my heroin, Dinkatrue.
But I'm not mad. I'm not crazy.
Sorry, so Matthew, just I was half paying attention. I apologize. My wife came in. Empathy roll for fear test.
Your choice whether you deal with it with logic or with empathy.
I will deal with it with empathy. Oh no! No success.
No successes.
I also got no successes.
No.
Oh, no successes again.
1 for me.
1 success for you. So you are holding it on. There's got to be a rational explanation. It's not like they're particularly targeting you or your group. Everybody has got a stew made with this sort of stuff. The doctor has warned everybody off it. Everybody's now pushing their bowls away and things like that. August, what did you do?
Oh, I failed.
You failed. Right. So August, Nistrom and Inga, you again have to roll a d6 now.
3.
5.
3.
Okay, and you have a choice. Do you want to get out of here? Do you want to withdraw into yourself? Do you want to thump somebody? Do you want to faint?
August, she probably just faints.
Yeah, you're already,
Backwards.
because you've eaten most of this. You're definitely feeling the ill effects. Yeah, so I think fainting is probably the most appropriate thing for you to do.
Yep. Just doink down.
Inga's gonna scream. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
I'm going to, in as much as failing a fear test and taking this taking this action will allow me, I will excuse myself as I leave quite briskly to go and purge. At what Inga was saying earlier, I'm going to try and purge my stomach of the foxglove. Yeah.
I
So
think
I'm
that
gonna leave
is
the room.
an appropriate thing.
I'm going to leave the room.
Inga, what are you doing?
Inga's gonna leap to her feet, shout, "They're gonna die!" And she's gonna sprint from the room to outside. She's double feared now. It's bad news.
Okay, and so Torsten, you're the only one kind of with it at this moment. You've got a writer face down, luckily not face in her soup, but possibly some of her hair, I imagine, is in the bowl of stew, but her face is on the table. The Nystrom has headed towards, I'm guessing, the gents or the outhouse.
Yeah.
Inga, you've headed out the front door, is why I'm understanding it.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting at a table on your own. A number of the others are reacting in sort of similar sort of ways. A few people are just calmly saying, right, well, I won't have that then. The landlady is distraught because she definitely didn't poison the stew. And so she's running around absolutely frightened, trying to calm everybody down and explain what happened and apologize to everybody. You are the only person in the party that can do anything practical at all right now.
Oh, goodness me. Well, I'm sure it was just probably a oh dear, new chef. I expect inexperienced. Millie. Give her a little kind of
August. You mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. August.
Maybe that's why I don't respond at first.
Yes. I just see if I can kind of rouse her, or at least make sure that she's kind of breathing and kind of looks okay.
She doesn't look very well. You're no doctor, but you've probably been Inga's servant long enough to know that her heart is beating really quite fast for somebody who's just fainted. She's looking quite pale. I think the best thing you could probably do for this scene is to take her to a room and put her on her bed and try and get the doctor to see her. If not Inga, maybe the village doctor, Dr. Raphael.
Yeah. So I quickly look around the room first, quickly scan around the room. Does anyone else look in dire?
I think, to be honest, it was Millie who dived in so rapidly. So I think she's possibly the only one that's affected seriously before Inga alerted everybody to it.
Okay. I grab whoever's nearest and the Dr. Raphael. Please, quickly, where would I find him?
If I share... click the screen icon in your address bar to allow access. Give me a moment. Share the screen. No? I don't understand.
I love how...
there we go. No, there we go. We've got it back. And let's
We've
just
got
go.
a Doug.
Yeah, no, I'm...
There, untitled artwork. There we go again. Allow that one.
Oh,
So,
okay. All right.
you're in the inn here. Basically, the doctor's house is up the road. The very last of the... Basically, the quality of the housing gets slightly better as we get up to the big Oberg house there at the top. So the doctor's chosen the best one of the cottages.
Okay. So with that information, I think first of all I want to see if I can find Inga, because she's closer and known to me. So I'm just going to kind of make sure that August is kind of comfortable and sort of propped up safely, and then I'm going to run off in the direction that Inga left in, shouting, Inga!
I think Inga's in the front yard with her finger down her throat, making herself throw up.
Okay. So apart from apart from August, who I think is in bed, and you are genuinely suffering from this poisoning, August. Everybody now has kind of recovered from the initial panic and have purged, if their medical training has done that. So Inga, you are able to treat and ready to treat August if you so desire.
I would love to treat August. I'm assuming it's a medicine check.
Yes.
3 plus. Oh my gosh, I have so many dice. All right, I got 5 from precision and 3 from medicine. Wow. Yeah. If I don't roll any 6s, I'm going to be devastated.
Oh, you've so jinxed that now.
I got 2.
Oh, hold on. How many? You've got a couple less because you've got a couple of
I
conditions.
will re-roll. I got
Alright.
one success.
You got one success.
I got one success.
Phew.
That is good enough. So you managed to probably purge August again before the nausea started and the heart palpitations that you know are the symptoms of digitalis poisoning. It can be used to treat heart arrhythmia and stuff like that in very small doses, but it can also cause weird cardiac effects and death even if it's not treated.
August, open your eyes. What's my name?
And she takes a moment and she's going to say one thing. And then she says, Dr. Inga,
Yes.
you were right. It wasn't very good.
Feeling better?
Not really, but yes.
That's to be expected. Torsten, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Oh, good. We should treat everyone downstairs. I think that poor August had the worst of it, but perhaps we should check in on them.
Right. I think, yeah, you stay in bed, August, and you guys go and find everybody and measure their symptoms. Luckily, Inga, you had warned everybody before they'd been quite as greedy as August had. And so there's only mild effects. Everybody's already thrown up or things like that. So, but let's say it's the early hours now. And probably time to go to bed, unless any of you want to do anything before then.
Torsten,
Yes, Doctor?
I must be honest with you. I don't feel very safe in this inn. We've encountered ghosts. We've been poisoned. Who's to say someone's not going to come stab us in our sleep?
Would you like to sleep elsewhere?
Where else is there? I am uncomfortable with the situation, Torsten, and I would like that on the record.
Very well, Doctor.
The record keeper's lying in her bed feeling a bit poorly.
Okay.
However, I'll note it down as GM if you like.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Maybe I could keep a watch.
Well, I will need you as stable as possible for tomorrow, so don't do that if it's going to put too much strain on you. You, after all, did imbibe some of this terrible stew. She says it loudly enough to, if anyone was listening, they could definitely hear it.
And you hear a distant sob from the kitchen as the landlady does indeed hear from her only guests that stay overnight. Everybody else, of course, has gone back to their own houses. But yes, I'm sure she is lying awake, feeling very guilty about the whole thing.
If you could just make sure that I'm not dead in the middle of the night, I would appreciate it, Torsten.
Of course.
Thank you. And I'll go to bed.
Right, everybody goes to bed.
Yes.
Yes.
I hate it
Torsten,
when says that.
Given that you said you were going to keep a watch, are you keeping a watch or are you...
I think I'm just going to endeavour to make sure that Inga kind of settles okay and then get some sleep myself. But then if I can, I'm going to sort of wake up.
Right.
I don't know. I guess we don't have alarm clocks, do we?
Oh, you do? I mean, there's clockwork in the 19th century.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So I will try and wake up a couple of times in the night and just check that everything's okay.
Okay. What, going into Inga's room to check?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So,
just being as quiet and
what time do you set your alarm clocks for?
What time are we going to? What time is it when we go to bed?
I think it's probably 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Okay, so maybe I'll set an alarm for 3.
3. Okay. That's just once.
A couple of times, probably. Maybe
Okay.
so 3 and 5, let's say.
Okay. So you wake up at 3, light a candle, quietly creep down to Inga's room, check on everything. She's asleep. Everything looks fine. 5 o'clock.
Uh-oh.
You get a light your candle, you creep down into the room. There is a little silver fish lying beside her bed.
I wasn't expecting that. When you say little, are we talking what?
We're talking quite little. If you want to identify it, you're going to have to take a. You're going to have to do a knowledge one, I'm afraid, because I've said if they want to identify it, they've got to do knowledge.
Like a minnow or like a herring?
Learning.
Yeah.
More like a minnow than a herring.
Okay.
If you're going to tempt me with that, then I'm going to have to try and identify it, aren't I? Well, first of all, is it alive or dead?
Oh, actually, no. Tell you what, it's dead. It's dead, and I think you can recognise it as any good Swede can, and any good Swedes who are listening should immediately forgive me for what I'm about to say, because I'm going to say it's a groplurja.
Of course.
That was my first thought.
It's a grop.
A gropjurla,
Yeah.
which is a small. It's of the carp family, but it's really quite tiny. It GROPL umlaut, or whatever Swedes call the umlaut.
It's not helping.
JA.
Okay.
O with a couple of dots by it, as in Merkborg.
So, I noticed this fish. Slightly puzzled, but I immediately looked at Inga. She looks okay.
She's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I sort of pad over quietly, and I'm going to look around. Is there a window open? Or, I don't know why a fish would have come in through the window, mind you. But
Well, did you
is there any
open
sign
your
of any
window,
disturbance?
Inga? Was the window open when you went to sleep?
I'm so sorry I missed that.
Did you open the window when you went to sleep, or did
Probably
you
not. Someone could sneak through there and stab me.
Okay, no, the window is not open then.
Okay, and there's no other signs of any disturbance or anything.
No,
place?
not anything else out of place. It looks like, I don't know if anybody has owned a cat, but it looks like when a cat brings you a dead bird or a mouse,
I
leaves
see.
it for you.
It's Inga's friend.
I made a little ghost friend. That's fine.
This is fine.
I'm going to take the fish and just throw it out the window because I don't really want it in the room. And I'm going to just sit in a chair in the corner quietly until Inga wakes up.
Yes, it's summer in December, hence the title. So in Sweden, of course, the days are long and the nights are short. So it's probably already daylight at 5 o'clock, and as the room gets brighter and lighter, Inga, you wake up naturally, and you're a little bit surprised to find your servant sitting in the chair beside the bed, awake and watching you.
Torsten, did I almost die?
I think you'd be the better judge of that, Doctor. I did come to check on you, and the most peculiar thing, a fish. A dead fish by your bedside. I thought it untoward and thought I should stay and look over you.
Why was there a fish, Torsten?
A very good question.
I don't like this village. At all.
I'm not over fond of it myself, Doctor.
Well, nothing to be done about that. We are both alive. So if you'll excuse me, I will prepare for the day. Thank you for watching over, making sure nothing went more wrong than a fish in my room.
Of course, at your service as always. Make myself scared.
Torsten, I stopped you from making a learning roll, which wasn't actually my intention. Could you make a learning roll?
Okay, I could. Okay.
You might not be very good at it, but just make it anyway, on the off chance you get a 6.
Nothing.
Okay, yeah. So, everybody wakes up. August, you're quite recovered, so you can take that -1 physical defect off. And yeah, what are you doing about breakfast?
Am I still angry?
I think you might still be angry. I think the mental
Okay.
conditions last longer than a night.
That's fine. Just checking.
Check that out.
I think August will get dressed and probably not have breakfast.
Okay.
Probably not eat anything. And wait for everybody else, and then perhaps suggest we find out something exciting for the day, because yesterday was thoroughly marvelous, despite the food poisoning, and we should just continue because this will make a wonderful book.
We ran into 2 ghosts, maybe 3. You got in almost a fist fight. Milk was spilled, and that was a wonderful day.
Yeah, don't forget the food poisoning.
Yeah.
The plot against the foreigners in the town.
August is a sturdy woman. Incredible fortitude.
No, she's just delusional. This is just a story. Yeah, this is just delusional. But yeah, I think we should perhaps go and see the doctor or Father Peter that we came here to see. Father Nystrom?
Yes. At this point, I was going to say, so Father Nystrom's woken up. His morning routine involves a bit of prayer and yeah, kind of come down similar vein to what you're reserved about having breakfast. But whilst or just before we start making plans, he'll also just mention to August that, confession is good for the soul.
Oh, yes, you've mentioned it. If I ever have anything to confess, I will indeed make sure to let you know.
Because one should never go to sleep angry, and I fear I may have let you do that last night. Given
it's not my fault that they don't listen to somebody when they've seen things properly, and she'll just go off on a bit of a rant. I, Millie, understand exactly what you're saying. August doesn't.
Okay.
She'll just begin the rant again, and then even more so.
I don't know if Matthew's going to let that be a.
Sorry, I was just
confession or
typing a message to somebody else. Just briefly, pray say the conversation you were saying.
Father Nystrom is reminding August about the merits of confession.
Yes.
And August is letting it go completely over her head to have another tantrum.
Yes, it was in an effort to allow August to heal a condition. But whatever.
If you're letting it go over the head, that's fine. But he is offering treatment which would get rid of your condition.
Maybe on the walk to wherever we're going, she will then talk about how she will confess.
Okay. Well, as for the day ahead, perhaps I mean I would very much like to go and see Father Peter. Inga, perhaps going to see the doctor is more in order for you. I don't think we should swap who we have come to see. And perhaps we can reconvene. Who knows? The things that we have come here for may be connected, as any good novel might reveal.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Inga will laugh, and far more chipper than she normally is. Oh, that is such a silly thing. A novel, as if we're in a novel. That's great, hilarious.
When you say normally, is you mean more chipper than we saw her yesterday?
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Right. So you're splitting forces, are we? Is that what we're saying?
Split the party.
Of course, we're splitting the
We
party.
can split the party. It's a horror.
It's a horror RPG. Going alone will be great.
So Father Nistrom and August, you're going to visit the Obergs.
And Father Peter.
And Father Peter. And Inga, you are going to visit
Dr.
the doctor. And are you taking Torsten with you? Or...
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely necessary. August, I'll say as I'm leaving, try not to eat more poison.
I didn't do it on purpose. It was not like...
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
She seems to be more friendly than condescending as she was yesterday. I think I can see you putting a face there. Right. So who wants to go first, doctor or priest?
I'm happy either way.
Right then. I think you've handed over the rice to the doctor. Handed over the talking stick to the doctor. Now, Torsten knows the way to the doctor's house, and I'm sure he will tell you, Inga, where that is.
Of course.
Isn't this a lovely village, Torsten? Look at it. There's so much green.
You were not so keen yesterday.
Oh. Yeah, that was, that was a less than day.
What is it you always say? No better medicine than a good night's sleep?
Yes. And I slept through that weird fish. Wasn't that great?
I'm so glad.
So glad.
Tell me, what do you know of this Raphael?
Well, Raphael and I went back to doctor's school, if that's what you want to call it.
Medical school, I think is what you call it. Although, actually, sorry, yeah, doctors, you call it whatever you want, Inga.
Okay. And we did medical things there, and then he went off and got married and settled down in this little town for who knows why. Silly guy. You know what I don't understand, Torsten?
What's that?
I don't know why he didn't leave. If his wife died, and then his daughter died, and his other children disappeared, I would leave. Wouldn't you leave, Torsten?
Maybe he hopes his other children will be found or return.
That is wise of you, Torsten. You always bring such balance. That's what I appreciate about you. Remind me to give you a raise.
You're too kind.
Oh, yes.
Right, as you walk up together with the doctor being unseasonably giggly, you arrive at Dr. Raphael's house. He lives in what was one of the better labourers' cottages. And Anna, when she was alive, created a beautiful garden over the years, but in the months since she died, it has become a little overgrown. Inside, the doctor lives comfortably, Since his wife died, Mrs. Brugg, the old midwife, has become a sort of informal housekeeper for him, and it's her that opens the door to you. They extended the living room, and it's become a sort of consulting room, which is where she brings you to meet him. The walls are lined with the evidence of his qualifications and his learning. The books on the shelves are all medical textbooks from his university days.
Raphael, it has been too long.
He greets you with a broad smile and says, yes, Inga, my old lab partner. It's so great to see you. What brings you up here to December? I had no idea you were even in this part of the country.
Well, you know me. I heard that my good old friend has found himself a spot of trouble, so I just thought I'd pop on by and see if I could be of assistance. Be the shoulder for you, as it were.
Okay. He immediately his demeanor changes and his shoulders sag and he says, "Yes, I must admit, Inga, I've had a terrible run of bad luck. It really has been worse than awful."
I cannot imagine this hell that you've gone through. First Anna and then the children. You must tell me what happened.
Well, my wife died in childbirth, of course. Nothing I could do. I mean,
Poor Anna.
the guilt that feels so strong when you lose two lives. I mean, we're meant to think about it being impersonal when we're treating others, but when it's your own wife and your own baby daughter, I called her Ingrid. That's what we were going to call her. That she never got to draw a breath. Those two are buried in the churchyard. And then it seems like days, but maybe weeks later, Charlotte took ill. Of a broken heart is all I can see. Which of you has got the best observation skill?
It's an excellent question. I have an observation of 2.
I have 4.
4. Okay, then I suggest you might want to be making this as you watch him, as he's ignoring you because you're a servant, so you've got the.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, she too is buried in the churchyard. He tells you, Inga. Then Ellen went missing.
Little Ellen.
Yes, the villagers say that she was abducted by this grey man.
What do you think of this? We are people of science, not fairy tale.
I don't know. I mean, the woods are a dangerous place. She may have just been playing and something happened to her. She got lost. We looked, of course. We searched. The whole village searched, but couldn't find anything.
Not a trace.
And Isaiah, of course, was very upset.
Mm-hmm.
His family to be disappearing around him. He would sometimes lash out at people.
I mean, what does a child do besides lash out?
And then, of course, there's the gossip has been difficult to deal with.
I told someone off just the other day for that.
Yeah, the people. I don't want to spread it myself. I'm just being guilty of the whole thing. How did you do on that observation test?
I failed, but I think I'd quite like to push.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to take, I think, hopeless seems suitable.
Right.
As there seem to be powers at work beyond understanding. Roll again. Hey, 2 successes.
Okay. As you're watching the Doctor, you can't help think that although obviously some of what he's saying is true, he's putting on an act for Inga, and Inga is just lapping it up.
There's no one else in the room, is there? He doesn't have any servants or.
Mrs. Brugg is busying herself, but probably in other parts of the house at the moment. Yeah. He says. Sorry.
I'm just going to sort of very quietly just say, "Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom." I'm just going to slip out and leave them talking.
So he carries on. They even say that I got poor Margareta pregnant, which of course is absolutely not true.
The nerve of some people.
That is, I mean, I love this village, obviously. I could have gone back to Stockholm. I should perhaps have gone back to Stockholm months ago. But this sort of gossip, it's enough to make you want to get out of a place like this. It's nothing like what you get in the city. Everybody's so insular here. They have nothing to talk about except each other. So just coming back to you, Torsten. What are you doing as you've slipped out of the room?
I'm going to attempt to find Mrs. Brugger, was it?
Yeah, okay.
Or any other kind of servant that I can find.
Right. Mrs. Brugg is the only sort of person in here who fills that role, sort of general housekeeper. And she is making jam or something in the kitchen as we talk.
So I'm gonna. So I want to kind of. I want to talk to a kind of servant to servant kind of idea. So I'm going to introduce myself, and I'm with Dr. Inga, and she's a friend of Raphael's from years gone by.
Yes, I know. She says I wrote to her.
Ah, it was you.
Yes. He's been so distraught, upset. I didn't think of anything else to do.
Well, I'm glad you did. We're here to help if we can. But listen, I don't think he's. It's just like you said in your letter. I think he's maybe he's proud, or maybe it's just that he can't bear to go there. But I feel like there's just things that he's not saying, and I think I struggle to see how we can help if we don't know the facts. So I'd love to get your opinion on what's happened here and what's going on.
And so she tells you pretty much everything that he said, and you can ascertain that a lot of what she says about his wife's death in childbirth is true. She was there. She's a midwife. You don't sense that she's dissembling at all, or covering for him. If anything, given the doubts that you watch him, she's just credulous and believes everything as he described it. She doesn't have any other clues for you. But you're still suspicious that he's not telling the truth.
Okay. I will. I'll thank her and offer our services if there's anything else she needs, and make my way back.
Right. Let's cut over to August and Nistrom. Where are you going?
To the church and then the Obergs, I think was the plan.
Okay, so you head over to the church and the vicarage, as it were, and Father Peter's not there. You are told by his housekeeper that he does generally spend most of his days with the only civilized people in the village, who are the Obergs. So you expect to find them all at the Obergs.
Okay, let's head over to the Obergs.
And let me tell you about the Oberg house. Near the top of the village, with views looking down over the village. It's near the top of the valley, I should say. It It's surrounded by productive and ornamental gardens, and some of the villagers work here, tending them and performing other roles in the house. Technically, the village church stands in the Oberg grounds. Although, as you've discovered, he's almost a permanent guest in the house. You're going out to the front door, I assume, are you?
Yes.
Okay. You're greeted by a butler. I think I might have separate stats for him, but maybe I don't. No, I got rid of him in the stat block. And he looks down his nose at you when he opens the door and says, "Good morning."
Good morning. I've come to see Father Peter and the Obergs at Father Peter's request. I've come up from Uppsala.
Ah, yes. Your name is...
Father Nistrom. And
this is
August.
I'll like as he butt in and be like, August Konismark. Nice to meet you.
Yes, Miss Konismark. I will guide you into the parlour and tell Mr. Oberg and Father Peter that you are here. And you go into the parlour, and they shortly come in with, again, another servant bringing in tea and stuff like that. Can I get you to make a investigation check?
I have 0 investigation and 3 logic.
What do you have?
4 logic and 1 investigation.
All right, so you should be the one doing the test then, I think.
Right. 1, 2.
Please and thank you.
No, nothing. Shall I push it? Yes, I will push that and become. What? This is another one. Hopeless. A bit like, what? This is so boring. And why are we talking to these? There's no drama here. Just it's hopeless afternoon of nothing. Oh no, that fell on the floor. Let's roll that one instead. No, I still get nothing. It is boring and there is no drama here.
Okay, but I'll tell you something you do spot, which you find slightly unusual. There are, obviously this is a well-appointed house. There are flowers in vases. You're a bit sensitive to this, but you notice that all the flowers in the vases are foxgloves. Let's cut back to you at the in the doctors. Are you doing anything, Inga?
Oh,
saying any more? Quizzing him any more about anything?
I'm enthralled. Doctor, I think that you should move back to Stockholm, and I will help you move. Get out of this gossip in this dreary town. It's pretty. Don't get me wrong. It's very pretty. But it also seems like it has a lot of death, and that's a downside.
Okay. He seems... He takes your hands in his, sandwiching your hand between 2 of his, and says, "Inga, you've always spoken such a lot of sense. Maybe it is time that I moved on. It seems that I'd be turning my back on the possibility of the other 2 coming back, Isaiah and Ellen. You know, they may not be lost forever, but you know, you bring such clarity, and you have such an incisive mind. Maybe I should listen to you.
You should. Thorsten had that effect on me. But
can I get you to make an investigation roll?
Oh yeah. Let's see here. I got an investigation of 2 plus my logic. Now, am I still after my sleep? I don't know if that removes any conditions.
I think it doesn't.
Okay, then I think I have 2 conditions still.
Right.
Or because I became frightened twice. Or did I take? Do I have 2 conditions, or I have 1 condition? I can't remember.
You should have 2. You've had 2. You've been terrified twice, so
Okay.
I think you've got 2. Yeah.
3 successes.
3 successes.
Best roll of the night.
Again, slightly resonant with what went on last night. It sort of draws your eyes to the fact that he appears to have left a book on his desk, and it's held open with a single fresh foxglove stem. And you can't quite see where it's held open, but it kind of arouses your curiosity.
Poisoning for beginners.
Right. So she's going to squeeze his hands and then step away and, polish them with the last hanky that Thorsten gave her. She'll walk the border of his room. I do think that this is the right choice for you. And, you have a lot here. I mean, look at all these books, and she'll gesture across the room to where you said he had all of his medical
books on the shelf. Yeah.
And she'll gesture, like those, for instance, those are going to be really heavy. And if he turns to look at it, she's going to just flip open the page to wherever this foxglove is.
Okay, so it's left open. Sort of
Okay.
The weight of the foxglove stem is keeping it open, so you don't even need to flip the pages. You can just glance down, and you're a quick reader. And so you read what is obviously a medical textbook, which on the pages that are open says Effekt, which is beautifully alluded to by our immortal dramatist in the following lines, or have we eaten of the insane root that makes the reason prisoner in Macbeth? It also causes such a taste of paralysis that the stomach that vomiting can scarcely be excited by the most powerful emetics. Administer vinegar and acidulous drinks, which often enable the emetics to operate, and continue the use of the acids until all the symptoms disappear. Elaterium. This is obviously a list of various poisons. This is not likely to be used as a poison, but it may be overdosed in the hands of the ignorant. The chief symptoms are violent purging of watery stools, followed by sudden sinkings and excessive debility. Support the strength by cordials and opium in doses of a grain repeated at short intervals, and exhibit clusters of starch with them, from 40 to 60 drops of laudanum in each cluster. And finally, the last entry on the page is Foxglove Digitalis. An overdose of this medicine in any form of preparation produces sickness, vomiting, vertigo, indistinct vision, cold sweats, delirium, fainting, and may cause death. And that's everything that's on that page.
I read so fast. Okay. So she'll step away from the book and continue searching, walking the edge of the room. Now, this might be a painful subject to bring up, but what were Charlotte's symptoms? I heard that it was a broken heart. I've never heard of such a thing.
I think you'll find there is a certain hysteria, especially in those of the fairer sex, when great tragedy occurs. There are physical symptoms that are recorded by all the great doctors of heart palpitations and the like. were it an older man who'd been drinking a lot of claret and his cheeks ruddy and his body full, you might call it a heart attack. But in one so young, I called it, and people understand it, as a broken heart.
That is devastating. And she just like runs through what Foxglove does in her mind and the palpitations that it can cause. And she wonders where the hell Torsten is.
Where the hell is Torsten right now, having finished his conversation with the housekeeper?
I imagine that he's probably about getting back, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'd have thought. I imagine at this point, then I walk through the door and just kind of stand quietly. Okay,
let's leave you there and come back to the others. So you wait for not long in the parlor before the doctor, the priest, and his wife all turn up. Oberg himself is red-faced from an excess of good food and alcohol. He's married, but treats his wife simply as an extension of himself and allows her no opinion other than his own. Most evenings he drinks with Father Peter, his perennial house guest, and the local priest.
When Peter comes in, it's Peter, it's been some time. I'm glad to see you're in good health.
Well, Peter doesn't have much respect for you, but he knows how to be polite. So, of course, he says, "I find myself in the good health. Thanks be to our Lord. I see you are surviving still."
Surviving is certainly one way to put it. I've come at your request. You have something of an unnatural issue that needs investigating.
Yes, it's obvious. And actually, at this point, Mr. Oberg breaks in. It's obvious that our daughter has been taken advantage of and is delusional. I was rather hoping, he turns to me, I was rather hoping that you were going to bring some sort of alienist who might investigate her mind. She is... I should explain. She fell in love with a local lad, Thomas Lind, who went off to war. And sadly did not come back. He was lost in action against the Russians. Now,
it's a terrible business.
Yes, it is sad for us all, but it is our patriotic duty to send our young men off to war, is it not? My daughter was deeply in love with him, it must be said, and I didn't think it was necessarily the best marriage that she could have. But what I cannot tolerate is the fact that she thinks that he, gone these many, many months, is the father of her unborn child.
Can I ask, how far along is your daughter?
Since showing, I think she's about three months.
And the timeline is that Thomas
there's absolutely no way that Thomas could have fathered the child. Been away for years.
Well, Mr. Oberg, if you would allow it, if you so wish, I would very much like to talk to Margareta. And perhaps we can get to the bottom of this.
Of course, yes. I think that's the thing. If you can talk some sense into her. Peter here should, but he suggested you, maybe, because you have some of these fairy tale ideas, you might be able to speak to her in a language which she understands.
Folklore is something of a hobby of mine, and I find that it helps me to connect with many parishioners that I come into contact with. But yes, I would be happy to do so. August, would you care to join me, or would you prefer to stay out here?
I will, and she like looks at all the foxglove around. She goes, "I will come with you."
Okay, so you are guided by the servant, the butler who brought you in, to upstairs to her bedroom, which is locked. He subtly, quietly unlocks the door and then lets you in. He doesn't lock it after you're in there, but you note with interest that she's locked in there. She is beautiful young woman. Let me tell you what I know about her. Margareta, there we go. A happy looking woman, despite the fact that the village thinks she's mad and has been less than chaste. She's very grateful to receive visitors and makes small talk almost as soon as you both enter the room. She's very impressed, August, to hear that you are a writer from the city. She would like to be a writer one day, she says. She does very well, did very well at school, but has not yet had the opportunity to go to university. She pats her tummy. Maybe I never will, but then it would be my duty to stay as the mother of my child and a wife to my husband.
I will. When she says as a wife to my husband, I will go, tell me more about your husband, dear.
Well, not my husband yet, sadly. Things have taken a turn. His name is Thomas Lind, and he's a soldier. He has been a soldier, but now he's returned.
When is the wedding then? And I'll look at the like if he's that, what, that kind of like.
Oh, yeah, we haven't got that far. My family don't seem to understand that he's alive. Can I take you into my confidence? She says.
And I genuinely will be delighted in my face of yes, absolutely.
So, he deserted with the help of a senior officer who reported him dead. This is why everybody thinks he is dead, for all the official paperwork says so. And he walked back through Finland, all the way back here.
For you?
For me. It's true love.
It must be. Where is he hiding?
In the woods. On the way home. All that way home. And nothing befell him apart from hunger and thirst. And he took a drink, caught a fish, and he was cursed by a creature, a Vaesen, in the woods. So in the daytime, he's transformed into a faun. He's only human in the hours of darkness. And that's when we meet. And that's where he blessed me with my child. But now the summer's here. And the nights are so short. I've hardly seen him at all. And midsummer's coming soon. And there will be no darkness. Maybe he'll never be human again. My father wants me to marry the doctor. But I'd rather go to the Queen of the Spring and beg to be cursed with the same curse as Thomas so that we can be together.
It would make a wonderful... And then she stops like, oh, yeah, no, sensitive. Have you seen the Queen of Spring? How does one petition her?
I don't know. He's the one that's seen her. She was angry with him for taking a trout from her spring without thanking her.
Oh. Perhaps.
That's what he says.
Father Nystrom is something of an expert on these affairs. Just one moment, if it's okay with you, I'll go and speak with him. He's a priest, so he must keep your confidence as well. That's one of their rules.
Well, Father Nystrom has been in this room all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, but I'm also just humouring her kind of secrets.
Right, yes. Father Nystrom, do you have anything to say?
Only to inquire about where does Thomas come here, or was Thomas coming here, or did she go out to see Thomas somewhere else in the woods?
He would come here. He'd slough off his deer-like form and come to me. His clothes are ragged now, but as a deer he hides them so that he can dress.
Well, Margareta, it's certainly a fantastic tale, but not one that I am willing to dismiss. And I'd like to hold on, where's the character sheet? I would like to make a sort of insight.
What are you trying to define?
She believes what she's saying, but is there a pattern or a trigger of, like, is she describing like one or two things that are kind of like almost robotic, repetitive? Like, is she being fed stuff, or is this all just
observation? Observation.
There we go.
That's the skill you need to make.
Observation, which is actually 7 dice, but I only have the 6 lovely Vaesen dice, so it is 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay, so she's telling the truth. Absolutely. She hasn't been enchanted. She's been the only person you've met so far that hasn't been saying gossip, that knows the story. You've noticed that she doesn't mention the children at all.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to thank her for her time. I believe her. It's a fantastic tale, but it's something that we ought to get to the bottom of. And we will, for the sake of her love, for the sake of everyone in town, really, to get to the bottom of it. And I'll say to August, well, it seems that we have some more investigating to do. Shall we? I was just going to say, shall we say to the Obergs, we need to get our story straight?
Yes. Okay, we'll go first.
Something that they can believe. But yeah, do cut away.
Okay. I'm just aware of the fact we've got 12 minutes for this slot. Here's me confidently thinking you'd whiz through it in 2 hours. But I've got to say, your extemporizing and your characterization has been great. I've let it flow because it's been so entertaining, but I'm now running out of time to do this. But I feel, Inga, you're getting close to confronting the doctor. Are you?
Yeah. So she is actually this chipper, happy-go-lucky personality is starting to crack. and the fear is coming back through.
Torsten has come back into the room with you, so that might be a good trigger for you to do.
She's going to step forward and she's going to grab Torsten's elbow, and not making eye contact with the doctor, tears will start to drip down her cheeks, and she's going to say, "What have you done, Raphael?"
So you're grabbing Torsten's elbow as for support, but you're looking at Raphael and challenging him. Okay, I've got a whole thing here on confrontation with the doctor. Let me just remind me what it says. How's he going to react? Confrontation.
Can I hop on here just for a second?
Hello, yes.
Hey, so our next session doesn't start for a little while, so if you need to go over, feel free, man.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so let's not rush it, but we're there. Just what it says that he's going to do. What do you mean what I've done? He says, and he's quite indignant now. What have I done? I have no idea what you mean.
The foxglove, Raphael? Your daughter?
My
and
daughter.
She's going to recite the passage word for word back at him.
What? And he immediately turns back to the book. What? That damn book's open again. This has nothing to do with me, he says. I'm being haunted, he says, by some...
Uh-oh. Matthew
This
froze.
book.
Terrible timing.
Oh no, I've frozen.
Timing. Yeah, you look so angry.
There, my back. He grabs the book. He casts the foxglove to the other side of the room. He says, "This book keeps coming out on my desk," and he rams it into the thing. This nothing to concern you with. Just some of the strange goings on that have been happening in this village the last few months. The damn creatures kidnapping children.
Stop it, Raphael. If it's a ghost, it's one pointing to your guilt.
Okay. I feel we're going to roll some dice here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just trying to work out what sort of dice it is.
D6
All of them.
probably.
6, probably.
Yeah, yes, it'll be a D6. I mean...
Sorry, it was a terrible joke. I apologize.
Matthew's already regretting bringing Emily on the stream.
No, it's good stuff. I'm loving this. It's going to have to be something like inspiration, actually, is what you're going to have to do to win this argument, I feel.
Okay, I've got 2 inspiration and 3 logic, but I have 2 fear, so I will only roll 3 dice.
Right, okay. And I am going to kind of roll dice for him as well. I feel this should be an opposed roll. I'm just lost the chart with the people in it. Statistics. There we go. Dr. Peter. And we are looking at empathy. 3. Okay. So you roll your dice and he'll roll his.
I rolled all 2s.
All 2s.
So that was pretty fun.
Well,
I will push it, though.
Sorry? I'm going to push it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
1 success. The rest are 2s. I don't know who's cursed me. Probably that kitten.
Okay. So you've got all 3 of your mental things that aren't broken ticked now, haven't you? So this is what? Anger?
Frightened and hopeless.
And you had 2 of them ticked already.
Yeah, I think I had anger and frightened ticked before.
All right, okay. So you feel hopeless now if you can't win the argument, but you. So what do you say to him again? Just remind me what you said.
Oh, that would be a good thing to remember. I think I said, if anyone was haunting you, it would be your daughter. I can't believe you've done this. Something to that effect.
At which point, he collapses on his knees and says, "Yes, yes, Charlotte, she's the fox." And yeah, you have to decide what you're going to do now.
Oh, she is overcome with the hopelessness of her lost friend and her fear that he maybe was trying to do that to her at the tavern, and her fury that he would dare do such a thing. And she also sinks to her knees, still gripping Torsten's arm, and she's sobbing. She's, "Can't believe that you've done this. Why, Raphael? Why?"
Torsten, it feels that if these two people are sobbing at each other on their knees, that somebody, and as
Once
always,
again,
it falls to the working class.
I know. Okay, I'm going to sort of gently and hopefully supportively help Inga up, kind of comfortingly, kind of put my arm on her, put my hand on her shoulder, and say, "Come, I think it's time we left and met up with our friends."
He's a murderer, and I need a hanky.
But you're guiding him out of the house, leaving him on his knees in there.
Yeah.
If we've got some extra time, I might just see how that plays out. Walking down the hill from the Oberg house as you come out of the house are the others.
So we meet like
Meet, yes. In fact, the Oberg house is opposite the doctor's house, pretty much.
Oh,
So as you come out of the Oberg house.
Hello, neighbour. We go. I guess we meet in the middle of the street in not loud voices. I'm just going to say, what did you discover with your friend the doctor?
You murdered them all. Murder.
He murdered them all. Oh my!
I thought we had
The kid
murder.
is a fox.
Dr. Inga, tell me everything.
She's just gonna like have that like high pitched hysterical squeal that's like really nonsensical, and just fall into Torsten once more. So sorry.
You'll be fine. He's a bit out of his depth.
Torsten doesn't do emotions.
No.
Can he bear witness to what happened, though? What was said?
Given the time constraints, should I just say that I repeat it, or?
Yes, everybody's heard it. Actually, I guess she forced a confession or manipulated a confession out of the doctor. But if he recovers, there's possibly very little evidence.
Well, it seems on our end that Margrethe Oberg has been visited by her betrothed, who deserted and upset a creature of folklore standing. That
do you want to make a learning roll, Father, to see whether you've heard of such things?
Sure. Learning is logic. Learning is 2 plus logic is 3. 5 dice. The only person not to I don't think I've pushed and taken a condition, and that's 2 successes.
Such a lucky man.
Right. So,
I'm being watched over.
now, actually, I'm looking in this book here, which is the fabulous limited edition
pretty.
version of Vaesen. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I don't know whether they have any left. It was a Kickstarter exclusive. It's pretty much the same on the inside as everything else, but lovely cover. And it's not there, though. It's in the other Vaesen, but the original art book of Vaesen. There are 2 creatures in there that I don't think are in here. And that one there. So if you look at the Srora and the Well Guardian or Spring Guardian, from your knowledge, you think it's one of those 2. And what you know about these is that they're generally very friendly. They look after the river or the spring for people, but they get very vindictive if people forget about them. And you're realizing now that you remember from the map that there's an old mill, and this used to be a grain village, and they used to bake their own bread. And in those days, you would have expected there would have been weldings and things like that, which the church does now, where it has come to terms with the more pagan practices of some constituents. You've heard of these well dressings, which are about giving floral gifts to the spirits of the well. This village, though, with it's turning to dairy farming, as it's back on the Queen of the Spring, and she is being quite vindictive.
With that information, I am going to say to Inga and Torsten, I'm going to say, well, I mean, it's terrible, but I feel like you need to report this. May God have mercy on his soul. This needs to be reported and justice sought. August, I have something I think you might enjoy joining me with. I think that there are some upset spirits, and I think we might be able to put things right. I'm recalling some folklore on where people used to. It was a pagan ritual to provide offerings of food, of drink, of floral ornaments at certain sites, such as was it wells or springs. So this Queen of Spring may well be appeased with a visit and an offering.
And then that will mean that the love-struck soldier is reunited with his wife to be, and everything is well.
Potentially, if we can, if we can create a good enough offering, I suspect this may be doable.
What do we offer?
From an outside perspective, I thought you were straight up going to offer the woman and the child, and then like she can go be a thing, and that's also an offering.
Well,
you could go and frolic in the woods.
Well, got real dark, real fast.
I'm happy to
actually,
take
Inga,
GM influence.
I'm loving this. What you're suggesting, Inga. There may be a way that doesn't involve her frolicking in the woods, woman and child and husband. Could it be that you could take woman, child, and if you can find the husband, to the Queen of the Spring and perform a marriage ceremony in the...
That's so tender.
I love it. let's do it. How shall we convince the Obergs that we need to take their daughter into the woods?
Well, you can leave a hysterical crying woman to distract them.
Or
Perhaps.
a learned doctor that says that this form of therapy is very new and being practiced in Stockholm.
Yeah.
Perhaps we help Dr. Inga compose herself. Some of that apple brandy I gave to the milkmairs.
She's not
Someone
entirely
write her
broken.
picture.
But we
I will say that I will offer again that confession is good for the soul and can heal up to 3 conditions for anyone that
And somebody hoping to
up to
convince
me.
Mr. Oberg to let his daughter stand in a pond to get married would need to have probably all her mental wits about her. I'm just saying.
That makes sense to me.
so I guess
You'll
me
your heart
and
out into your fatherly attire.
I was gonna save Torsten a moment and be like, shall we go and get after weddings? Often you need some sort of food or cake, and just be like, shall we go and let the doctor cry at the priest for a bit and offer him a way out?
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So you
good-
head down to the village to do that. What is your confession, Inga?
Her confession is that she can't believe that everyone's not dealing with the murderer right now because a murderer could escape, and she thinks that's silly. And she'll also talk about how like this trauma that she went through, that she was so sure that somebody was dead, and then they weren't dead, but they weren't right of mind, and that she never told anybody about it, and that she just caught them and then just said they were dead the way she thought they originally were dead because they scared her so badly. And that's her confession.
Right. How do you do confessions, John?
Oh gosh. How does
It's on your character sheet.
It's on my character sheet.
Yeah.
Absolution. Play a character who confesses to you heals 3 conditions instead of 2.
Right. That's all it says.
That's all it says. So I will. Yeah. I offer you absolution through God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I think this is a bit more Catholic, but hey, say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers, and let's get on with it.
And let's lie, and I'll confess again later.
That's the beauty of confession.
I feel so much better. Thank you.
Let me just read about confession. There we go. So you need to roll, I think, on inspiration, John.
I need to roll on inspiration.
Yeah.
My books have all collapsed. Okay, so my inspiration is 1. Empathy is 5. So I'm rolling 6 dice.
Okay.
And that is 1 success.
I think, given your talent of absolution, that 1 success is enough.
Beautiful.
So, Inga,
I
you
swear-
need to get Mr. Oberg to agree to let Margaret out of the room.
I would like to burst in there after having ascertained all the information of the situation, and I want to rattle off a whole bunch of medical jargon and like all of that to help sort of intimidate him into let's go. So I would like to use my medicine roll if possible.
Okay, I'm going to let you do that.
Awesome, thank you. That was very kind of you. 3 and 5.
Whoa.
Is that too many?
No, that's 8 dice. I mean, it is too many for somebody that's bought a pack of 6 Vaesen dice. But buy 2 packs, everybody.
All right, I got 2 successes.
Excellent. You convince him to do this ordinary treatment. And guys, down in the village, you go to the inn and say you're looking to gather a sort of wedding feast quickly together.
Not too many foxgloves in this one, please.
The old guy at the bar says, "Oh yeah, we used to do floral tributes to the for the Queen of the Spring. Nobody remembers it nowadays. I'm the only one that talks about that. You guys didn't come and talk to me last time. You talked to everybody else, but not me. But then I guess we all got poisoned." And shall we, just for the sake of speeding things across, let's say there's a bunch of people in the village who say, yes, and they all work together to build a floral tribute as well as cook the wedding feast. So
I'm picturing the camera as it kind of pans out and you see the street kind of widen up and everyone kind of comes out and they've got the bits that they're all bringing together and they're all kind of dancing up the street going, yeah, it's a wedding.
Okay, and that's exactly what we do see as they're coming up the street to greet you guys as you're coming out with Margareta, and among them you can see, or flying overhead you can see a raven, and dancing among them you can see a little kitten and a fox.
Excellent.
And you guide them where?
Into the woods. Well, near the mill.
Up to the mill.
Up to the mill, into the woods-ish area, I guess.
Okay.
According to, well, we, Inga and I weren't there, but did you guys manage to wrestle up the old hunter? to
I think we won't have the old hunter confusing the situation now.
Oh.
Yeah, if things had gone different, he might have been out there shooting deer, but let's not do that.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was the person that you were saying was at the inn.
No, there's another old guy.
Oh, yeah. That's a different old guy. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that old guy who was like, oh, I'm the only one that talks to the Queen of the Spring, so maybe he can help us.
Yeah, he can come too. At the very top of the valley, and now encroached upon by the forest, the old watermill has collapsed. Originally a wooden 3-story building, the topmost story, where the grain would have been stored, has collapsed entirely, and the old millstones teeter on the edge of what remains of the wooden second floor. That's first floor to us in England, but never mind. All around the mill, wild foxgloves grow. The place is attractive to local wildlife, it seems. And indeed, the raven perches on a bit of the wall. The kitten goes in and perches on the remains of the old water wheel. And the fox dances among the foxgloves as you approach.
Nice.
I don't know how a wedding ceremony works, but Inga will act very official and make sure that everyone is letting the pregnant woman walk forward into the place where we have prepared, and we have this awesome floral gift. And she's like, everyone, make sure you stay back. It is very important that we let the father do his work here and perform the ceremony, and she will gesture the priest forward.
Come on.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. We're gathered here today in the hopes that we can see the fruit of love. We're gathered here today to see the marriage of this young woman to the man who she loves, who
Torsten, where's the grill?
we thought was dead, but may yet still live. And the other... but before this, before the eyes of the Lord, I also want to invite the Queen of the Spring to bear witness to this ceremony and to accept this gift this floral arrangement, which is for herself and is certainly decorative for the marriage. He's going to go into a little bit. He's going to say, look, there are stranger things out there than many of us will be able to accept or understand, but here we are to see the love flourish, and to see peace and forgiveness, in kind of like the message, hoping that the Queen is going to be listening, whether it's through the spirits or whatever, and that by some miracle, that Thomas, whether in deer form or otherwise, will rock up, and we can marry them and call it a day, and then somehow have to explain to the Obergs later on.
Well, you've got quite a lot of villagers around here, not the Obergs, but quite a lot of villagers, but you four are the only people that see the image on the front of the judge's screen, and indeed on the thumbnail for this program. A head rises up out of the water among the water lilies. Not quite as evil looking as that head. More loving. And she turns and looks towards one end, and there you can see a little fawn suddenly drinking water at the far end. And as you watch, nobody else can see this, but she kind of nods to that fawn. The fawn steps into the water, and as he steps, he transforms into a naked human being and comes to greet his wife, who then steps into the water, and they hold hands, knee deep in water, and you can complete the ceremony.
We are gathered here today to bear witness to the marriage of this man and this woman.
You don't actually need to complete the ceremony.
It's a contract of this, that, and the other. And do you?
Say I do. Say I do.
Yes,
that happens. Yeah. And then everybody's happy. The villagers carry the two lovers, now husband and wife, back to the village together. Somebody gathers up the husband's clothes, which are all hidden in the hiding place in the mill. You three are confronted, though, with the cat on the water wheel and the raven hopping about in the mill. Everybody who can, roll an investigation roll.
1. Oh, no, that's the wrong sheet.
So is that if you have a point in it? Because I don't have a point in it.
Yeah, I guess if you don't have a point in it, it's probably not worth rolling.
Okay.
1. I get 1 success.
Also 1.
Okay. So, you recognize that the earth... Oh, sorry. One of you recognizes... shall we go with Inga? You recognize that there is a blackened patch in the corner of this building, as though something recently has been burnt there. And there is, indeed, the crow comes and settles on a mound of what you now recognize is disturbed earth. And August, you go to the cat and look down in the water, and you see in the water, under the water wheel, a skeleton of a small girl.
Oh.
And we'll cut it there, because I'm not into finishing a happy story like this with too much gross stuff about the investigation of the bodies of 2 children. But let us just say that those bodies are later interned and laid to rest next to their sister in the graveyard, and you do a funeral as well as a wedding before you leave. And when they're laid to rest, you four, again, nobody else, but you four see the fox sit on Charlotte's grave, the kitten come and sit on the girl's grave, and Isaiah the raven sitting on the now reburied skeleton that you found of the boy, and slowly fade into the mist of midsummer.
That was lovely. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's it. Thank you guys very much for
Thank you.
just filling your roles so admirably. And yes, we've overrun 20 minutes longer than I intended. Well, an hour and 20 minutes that I, from what I thought we should run at. But it's all good stuff. All good stuff.
That's all right. At least we had the time to go over if we needed to. So, and Matthew, you said, Doug, this session, it's designed for like 2 hours. We'll probably wrap up early.
Yeah, I did say that. I mean, I took some time in explaining and talking about what the session was at the beginning. If I was doing it at a convention, we'd ram it home in 2 hours. And in fact, the idea is that there's a couple of mysteries and you might well focus only on one of them with a convention party. The first one that people grab at, you just focus on that one. But I thought we'd have the luxury of doing both of the mysteries in this one. Mm-hmm. But thank you all, everybody, for playing your role so well. The stoic servant, the doctor with the dual personality.
Yeah.
The klutzy writer, and the very pagan Christian, I have to say.
Well, I mean, spoilers, but the character sheet says that the devil speaks to me, but I wasn't really sure how to play that out. So
no,
I just
that's
went
okay.
with a more accepting of folklore pagan thing.
So Emily would definitely get the extra experience point for a role playing her dark secret. Maybe you wouldn't have in this adventure, but there'd have been another opportunity for you to do that.
Yeah, it was really good fun. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to remind folks that if you'd like to see more or hear more of Matthew, go check out the Effekt podcast. What you want to plug the website one more time?
That's at Effekt. Well, if you hear me more at effektpodcast.org or effektap.org. Effekt in both those circumstances spelled with a K, or look us up on YouTube/C/Effekt podcast. And on Monday nights, we're streaming Coriolis Mercy of the Icons.
Excellent. I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Thank you so much for watching us. We've had quite a few that stayed pretty much the whole time. Thank you to the players for giving your time tonight and being a part of the Free League showcase. Emily, you'll see Emily back here, I believe, tomorrow night, right, Emily?
Yep. I'm playing. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation. Morkborg.
Morkborg.
Hey.
That's all right. That's all right, Emily. Before our session, I have an interview with Johan and Peel. Is it Peel?
Yeah.
I have an interview with the designers, and I know I'm going to mispronounce. I think probably we should make it a drinking game. Anytime Doug mispronounces the title of the game, somebody needs to take a shot, and nobody will be probably alive by the end of that interview. But I'm really excited. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you'd like to see more content like this, please hit that subscribe button down there and hit that little bell notification that lets you know every single time we either go live or upload new content. We really appreciate everybody that is excited about this showcase that we're doing this weekend. And this is just the first step of much more content on the way here on the Free League YouTube channel. And if you enjoyed this session, please hit that like button down below, so that way it gets noticed and shared around and let other folks know about how excited you are about Vaesen. It's been a huge hit for Free League Publishing this year. So, all right, that's going to do it. We'll be back later with a Symbaroum actual play to close out day 1. We'll see y'all a little bit later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.